All right, what is up, everybody? Zombies here again, and today we are back with episode 15 of the Fighting Pit podcast. I am joined by my co-hosts here. We got Mullahoo back with us this week, and WizardBeast actually just got a new job. Congrats to him. He will be back with us next week, but a little busy this weekend, so we have a awesome guest in his place, though. Want to welcome back Dallas to the show. It's great to have you here, Dallas. How you doing?
Hey everyone, I'm good, thanks.
Awesome.
How are you guys?
Good. You know, it's been an exciting week. I know I've gotten a little bit more of a chance to dive into everything than you guys have since patch day, but I'm really excited to talk about everything. You know, I don't think any of us were expecting 7 new mercenaries, right? I don't think that was on anybody's radar. It just it came out of nowhere, and I know it may have broken some of us in the community a little bit, but you know we persevere and push through.
Honestly, when it comes to like even a brief opening question to everybody here, then like on paper, right? If this is a regular Hearthstone set. And they said, by the way, the core set, it's not 200 cards, it's 400 cards. The community response would be like, hooray! I honestly, I think that would just be hooray. And how odd is it here that like they gave us more toys? And that I think I agree with you. I think a lot of mercenaries people literally looked at that and went like, whoa, what? Okay. And again, this goes back to that perception issue, right? Where the people that play this game truly think that like, if I do not have them maxed, I am trolling. And I disagree with that mentality, essentially, unless, again, like, obviously, like zombies, like, or even just streamers in general, you're certainly incentivized to have all the content for content creation. But the average player should still not be thinking, oh, I have to max all of these. But it is probably the most glaring example so far where they gave us, like, more toys. Santa just kept shipping it down the chimney. It was the same toy. And that might have been part of the problem, right? And that was part of my initial response that was slightly negative, is that I was really hoping for not just a bunch of Buzz Lightyears, right? Like 6 different colors of the same Buzz Lightyear. It's cool. I'm glad. Like Buzz Lightyear is cool. But I really honestly wanted more different stuff. And we kind of didn't get that. We got the event, which is good. Love the precedent for these events. But it does. How bizarre is it that they gave us that any game gave you more toys and the community was bothered?
Yeah, I think it definitely speaks to the grinding experience, at least for those of us that are more heavily invested into PvP. Like overall, the big thing that had me excited was I really love all the characters, like just lore wise from Hearthstone, from WoW. Like they picked like all characters I've wanted since the beginning, and we got them like all at once. And so that was like, that had me really excited because they're just, I love the dragons last time. I know we had a few people who were thinking, oh, we're not going to get more dragons again right away. Well, no, we are. And now you can do a 6 dragon comp.
I wasn't kidding.
Yeah, right. Dragons were coming.
You gotta decide
he knew
what dragons you have to cut. Like we suddenly went from like, oh, dragons are unplayable to like I can build 2 complete dragon comps at this point. Basically, it's a really insane precedent. I think at the end of the day, it's good. I'm a little scared of the fact that they kind of like they said here's a ton of frost, and then even more, but all with dragons. I think, again, without really thinking about it very hard, I would have probably preferred to see more support spread across the field than all in on a redundant archetype. But again, I think like many of us were saying, we were kind of predicting Onyxia to finish it out. We were kind of maybe predicting, we talked about Nefarian, right? I didn't necessarily expect Nefarian in this one, but it seems like they did want to finish up all of the content that they had planned up until now. And I think that's part of the reason why we got so many mercs, right? Again, pure speculation, but
definitely agree.
Feels like they knew that they wanted to release all of these by the new expansion. And whenever that happened, however it happened, they needed to get Vandar out there because it was part of the quest line. Drekthar out there because it was part of the quest line. Belinda out there. Like, there's no other time that you're going to give us Belinda. There's no other time you're going to give us Vandar. You kind of have to do it now. And so I think that makes sense that they probably felt pushed, and so they gave them all of us, and that's cool. And a lot of them are cool. And again, another precedent of people kind of undervalued, underestimated a lot of these, and they're overperforming, which is cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a good point, actually. I mean, one of the reasons we're not getting some of the other changes that we would like to see up until now is probably because of this event. You know, this April launch, or it's March now, is probably the biggest drop of the year. So I guess they were pushing hard to get all that stuff done so they can make lots of money in this one. So hopefully now we might start to see some of those changes that we've been hoping for. That we were.
Now's the last straw, we say.
Yeah,
certainly this time.
Yeah, I know, right?
But
no, they have no excuse now, right?
There'll always be an excuse. I know. I'm in the
trying to stay positive.
The boat of I think because I thought all this stuff would have been dealt with quite some time ago. I didn't think it would take more than 6 months, but the big thing to me is I think it's very clear to me, and maybe I'll go into this in depth a little bit more later on, but it's very clear to me that they're not pushing new people towards the game right now because they saw the initial reaction on launch when they pushed, because they did a heck of a marketing push for this game. Like, they very much hyped up Mercenaries. They probably made out like a bandit on those pre-orders. I know people who stopped playing in less than a week who spent over $100 on the mode. So, like, they made some fat stacks. But in terms of long-term sustainability, you need to have new players enter because you need to have people for your whales to play against. Otherwise, your whales aren't going to be spending their money if they can't matchmake and get into a game, right? PvE does get around that a little bit, but for the people who do put a lot of money in, who focus on PvP, it doesn't work out in the long term. And I think the fact that, they made Mercenaries a literal main client button rather than just tucking it away in the modes with arena and duels and tavern brawl, I think that speaks to they want it to be something more, but they saw the reaction, and we've seen their kind of reaction to that in that we don't get like big mercs news pushes. The information is not talked about very much outside of maybe the events. We're a little bit talked about, but not heavily advertised, and they just kind of hide it away in the patch notes. We don't get any hints. We don't get any previews. None of that stuff. We don't even get like the art released. Like, I know early on you got the art Mullahoo, Rarin, when he was still doing the mercenary stuff. He got some art to show off before release. Even something like that was really cool, and they just haven't done any of that since then. And to me,
I wonder why.
That's because they know it's not smart to advertise this mode right now when all of these problems are unfixed, and it's going to scare people off before they have a chance to actually enjoy it. So I think they learned from the launch, and now they're basically like, well, the people who are still playing are so invested they're not going anywhere, which, I mean, is fairly true for the most part. And but obviously they're still going to want more people to come into the game. I think they're going to have to do what some other Blizzard games, like, Diablo 3 is a very notable one that did this, where you basically almost relaunch the game, like a 2.0 patch, essentially, that fixes a lot of these core issues. And then once you have a lot of those big issues fixed, that's when you can amp up the marketing push, try and get the new players in again. Hopefully it'll be more accessible as well. But I'm someone who played Diablo 3 at launch, and I loved it because it was my first Diablo game, but I was playing it with people who had put hundreds of hours of their lives into Diablo 2, and the issues, were very glaring to those players where they weren't to me. And now, after seeing how much that game has evolved and improved over time, I can't imagine playing launch Diablo 3 because it's awful. It's legitimately terrible. It was just like Mercenaries. They launched without a proper end game. There was no end game. They just artificially,
or anything.
They just cranked up the difficulty to such absurd levels where you couldn't even farm for what you needed to get to that at a point, and you'd have to buy it off that real money auction house. And it was very problematic. Like, I remember watching Kripparrian do Inferno, like clear the last boss on Inferno back when Inferno was like 1.0 and impossibly difficult, and it was like such a feat, but it's like 98% of players, 99% of players would never even be able to get there just because of the artificial difficulty scaling, because that was the end game. There was no end game, like you mentioned, the rifts. There was no system, kind of like we have in Mercenaries PvE. There's no end game. You get all the characters, you beat all the bounties. Well, now what? Well, we go play PvP, but not everybody's into that. So you need something there to keep the gameplay loop fun and satisfying. And so I think that's something we'll see eventually. But at this point, my hopium date is on or around, that 1 year launch. Oh, no, not that soon. The anniversary.
Not the full re-release.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. But okay, I see what you mean.
Like by the time a lot of this stuff, I think it would make sense that it would happen on or around the year release of Mercenaries, so in October of this year. That's my new guesstimate, because I guessed way too short in the beginning, and now I'm just of the mentality, expect nothing and be surprised when we get stuff. And, we did get one thing that is worth mentioning here that I think has been very important is your items and skins. They are now locked to a team instead of across your whole Mercenaries collection. That's awesome.
Yep.
That's a change we've wanted since launch, and I wish it didn't take this long to get in the game, but, the fact that we have it is great, and it's really important for some PvP comps, especially with these dragons. I don't want to be going back into my collection and swapping between every other game. It was just not intuitive, and it created more downtime, and it was just not fun. And also skins, like I like different skins for different characters, and now this makes it able so I don't have to go into the collection and manually swap the skin, and I can just put it on a comp, it saves it. There is a bug right now, though. There are a lot of bugs, and we're actually going to talk about those here really quick. But one of the bugs is, for some reason, when you close out the game, saving stuff is really weird. Like when you close out the game, you reopen it, you look at one of your comps, like there'll be no skins on the characters. And I think if you get into a game with them, it still remembers the skins. But if you're just looking at your collection and you go into your team, the skins aren't like on there. So there's some kinks they have to work out with that, but those are honestly the smallest of the bugs this time.
Slow on
really
the
aesthetic bugs, yeah.
Yeah, there are some pretty big ones with this patch. I mean, I guess it makes sense. It's the biggest mercs drop ever. And like you said, Mullahoo, I think the reason this drop was so big is because they really needed to push out all these characters, because they want to get into, hey, we want these Naga characters. Hey, we want the next expansion characters, because they're trying to link what's going on in main Hearthstone to Mercenaries in a lot of ways, which is smart. So I think they had all these characters, and this was kind of the end of the base Mercenary story. Like, we've been fighting up with Valera to get to Nixia, and that's kind of, I know it's something the majority of people, myself included, have not paid attention to, but it's there in the game, it's a thing. And so this is kind of like the accumulation, the end of the initial Mercenary story. So I think it makes sense to, go out with a bang, have so many iconic characters. I mean, Leroy Jenkins, like, I can't get over that we actually got a Leroy merc. It makes me really happy. But it's just, I just really, really hope that is the case, because if they started amping things up to like 7 being a regular thing, I don't know if I could do that.
Definitely not.
There's no reason to either.
No.
Like they just don't even have to. Like, they could.
Exactly.
They gave us less, and we were happy with it. Like,
5 was a good number.
Give more for free. Yeah.
But they did do that, if we recall, right? Like, the first drops were 4, and then they slowly ramped it up to 5, and then 5 was like the number, and now we got 7. I think it's not going to be a regular thing. I think it's going to be like maybe like we said, at the end of a big PvE thing, maybe they'll do a bigger drop to push it out. Because we also didn't get, because of the Celestial event, we didn't get a Nixia with a Nixia's mini set, so they kind of had to include that here too. So I don't think it's going to be a regular thing. But maybe like once in a blue moon at the end of like a big story thing, they'll do a little bit more, which is fine. Like, if it weren't for the grinding, I'd be purely happy about getting.
Yeah, they'll do it.
Yeah, like twice, maybe 3 times at most if they do it with like expansions, because they do 3 main expansions a year. But definitely, I can't imagine them doing it more than that, which it should be fine. But yeah, bugs. I'm just gonna run through them here really quick, and you guys can give me a little bit of reaction here, because I don't know if you've experienced any of these yet. I've seen pretty much all of these in games. and some of them are kind of impactful for PvP, so we want people to be aware of them. So the one everyone sees is mislabeled tasks. When you get a new task, it says task 1, but that's just a visual bug. There are more task bugs with certain tasks. Like I did a video today talking about how Leroy's task 18, it says deal 50 damage with his last skill 20 times. It's not what it is. You have to go deal 50 damage to a heroic boss.
Wow, that is not even close.
Really? No, it's not even close.
At least that, like all the other bugs that were like that, where it was like, do 500 Phantom Knives. People were like, oh, okay, it's deal 500 damage. It's not, I mean, that's, I'm just making it up, but right, it was like a very clear, like, oh, whoops, it was just this. But this is actually, you had to figure out what boss it was. Like, did people just figure out on accident?
It's just any heroic. It's not a specific one.
Oh.
So yeah, people figure it.
That's so weird.
Because most of the task 18s are deal damage to the heroic bosses. It's just his is mislabeled. It's weird.
How does a mistake like that happen?
I have no idea.
Is the person that's writing this doesn't play the game, or there's just a communication issue, or they don't leave notes on their files? Like, how does it work?
It could be a localization thing. It could be like accidentally slipping through. But I mean, again, purely from an objective perspective, I have never played a game with as many visual word-based typos, mistakes ever in any game ever. Again, this is like this kind of mini game type thing that, and I catch that shit all the time. Like when I see typos on anything that's produced, I go, how did that happen? Like literally, how did that happen? And it happens.
Doesn't anyone check
very regularly in this game?
Like even the person that's doing it themselves, don't they double check, or they're just under too much pressure and they're in the rush and they can't check it themselves?
I think it's a communication issue. I think things are disjointed. Like you have a person who makes the task and then someone else implements into the game, and then maybe something changes with one of those people and the other doesn't get the communication.
They forget about it. Okay.
But if you think that's bad, well, we're just getting started. So this one I found out through the comments of one of the Leroy tasks. So I've been doing a video a day for these Leroy event tasks where I cover both of the ones that drop for the day. And the one I did like yesterday or 2 days ago, I got a bunch of comments from people and they were like, in my language, the fight it's telling me to go do is Belinda and it's actually Vandar. And so people were just doing the Belinda bounty because that's what they were being told to do. But in English, it says Vandar, and the actual thing is Vandar.
Wow,
but
I feel sorry.
This is a localization thing for you, then. That kind of that's the definition of a like, whoops, we have to translate it into this other language, and I read it wrong, or I typed it in wrong, or I clicked the wrong drop down thing.
Yeah,
I don't know how they write them. I don't know how they actually put it into the game, but
how do you mess that up?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think what Zombies is saying is just two different hands trying to feed the same mouth kind of thing, right? Like, yeah. But and also consider that we've definitely seemingly seen things that change last second. So if they kind of like
could have changed
together and then
they didn't.
Yeah. If one person's Google Doc says Vandar and then a week later someone actually goes and checks it and sees that it's Belinda now, I don't know.
Yeah,
it seems like there could be some basic, controls in place to catch these sorts of things.
Yeah, you would think so. I think it's also like a bigger...
Something changes here. Okay, it needs to come back here. You probably have an application for it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes a lot of logistical sense. Certainly
exist. Whether or not it was time or energy to implement them, I suppose, is the real...
I think it's just a corporate culture kind of thing. Quality. You have so many... You have so many different moving parts, and those parts, the people involved with those parts aren't always directly communicating with each other because they're working on different things, and it's probably somebody's job to make sure all those things are in line and correct, but I doubt they put a whole ton of resources into that specific task, and it shows. It definitely shows. So that one was one of the more glaring things because that's literally telling people to do the wrong thing. And so if you're just trying to play the game without any outside help or anything, you go and you beat this once or twice. And the crazy thing is in the Chi-Ji event, there were bugs that would stop you from getting the progression. So I'm sure some people logically thought, oh, I still have to do this bounty, but maybe I can't grab that node again, like it was in the Chi-Ji event where it was bugged.
Right, yeah.
But it's not. It's just it's the whole wrong bounty. Like some people were like, yeah, I did this 2 or 3 times and it just wouldn't work. And I'd be fuming. I'd be so mad about that. but we also have some bugs with different characters. So one of them is with one of the old dragons interacting with the new dragons. So Yulon has a skill where when he deals damage, he deals us 20 damage. If the thing he hits attacked this turn, you deal 40 damage instead. Well, if you use that ability on Nefarian, it doesn't deal the extra damage currently, even if he attacked. So that's a really big bug, and that actually came up in Grumpy's EU tournament today. I think it was in a game Frankie was playing, and he wasn't aware of this bug, and so he targeted Nefarian on turn 1, and instead of killing the Nefarian, it lived at half health, and if he targeted the Sinestra instead, which did attack, it would have deleted Sinestra, it would have been a totally different game. So those are some of the bigger bugs that, like, at least with some of the tech stuff, even though I think it's ridiculous, I can understand it a little more, but the ones that are impacting the actual game, I'm much less forgiving of, because these have been very impactful bugs in PvP, and you have no way of knowing it until you run into it yourself or someone tells you, which is very unfortunate. There's another bug. So Kazakis has an ability, once you transform him into a dragon, his ability transforms into you can attack, and if you kill a mercenary with him, the death blow is you get it respawned as a 14/14 golem with all its abilities and equipment. Well, there's a bug on that where it's doubling the equipment. So if you... Yeah. This is fringe, and it won't come up in PvP much because that's not a very used ability in PvP. Yeah. I've only seen it once or twice happen. But like with Malfurion, for example, Life Root Staff, it's healing that 6 every time or whatever. You get double that.
Is that consistent?
It
always comes up like that?
For almost every character, yes. There are a few exceptions. The Karen respawn one does not work. I think there might be like one other one, but I've heard someone mention that there's double ice block from Jaina.
Wow. It's interesting because you would almost expect I guess because it like doesn't create a new instance of a merc, whereas like you'd almost expect reincarnate and
you'd expect them both to do it, or
work similarly.
Yeah, exactly.
Jaina stays on.
I am too.
Yeah,
Crashes have gotten worse though. Definitely.
Of any ability in the entire game that probably has bugs with it, it's probably the one that says like resummon a merc and good luck, assume that it works correctly. Like that's probably got to be one of the most expected buggy abilities that they've ever put in.
Yeah.
You just have to suddenly make the functionality work with every single merc and like hope that nothing goes wrong. Even the Nefarian one, like you could maybe make it. My first thoughts are if the game is checking like, okay, was the last thing that attacked this character?
And it's not.
Or like, was this character's, but it's the Draconid or whatever that spawns.
Yep.
Was that what? So you check the if then statement or whatever, and it just says, no, the Draconid attacked, deal normal 25 damage from the attack.
Yeah, I could see that being the case. The last bug we'll go over is another one with Nefarian, funnily enough. So he has an ability that lets him steal attack from all dragons, both friendly and enemy. And when it's maxed out, it steals 5 attack from every dragon. You gain however much attack you stole in health, and then you gain that attack. Well, currently, if you use that ability, either stealing from friendly or enemy dragons, if you get a dragon down to 0 with it, or if you steal from a dragon that's already at 0, it totally bugs out the math, and you end up healing and scaling attack for way more than is supposed to.
So do you heal like for plus 300 as well?
I don't think you gain that same amount. I think I think the healing is a little bit higher, but it's not as crazy higher as the attack. Okay. But no, the attack goes up so much. Like I had a 300 attack Nefarian in a game.
Like, so what was the jump? Was it literally like you used it and it went from 25 attack to straight to 300? Or was it like, wow, that is so weird.
it only happens if you're getting a friendly or enemy dragon down to 0 or stealing from one that is at 0. 0 is the magic number messing things up there. It's probably something in the code with it where 0 is just a weird number and it tries to check and multiply, and maybe it's just adding a 0 to the multiplication or something. I don't know, but it's it's making some really big Nefarian. So the Alex Strauss has been kind of the anti-dragon's dragon tech, because you can deal damage equal to attack. So that's a way to deal with it. But hopefully these bugs will be fixed. You know, I'm sure we're getting a big patch for the new expansion, right? Just around the corner, coming early next month. So I'm hoping that they resolve some of these big issues, because these are these are like,
those are like blatantly obvious.
These are bad issues. These are really bad.
It goes crazy, which is funny because we're also just coming off of the back of that. We kind of weren't sure if the Chi-Ji Firestorm scaling was like correctly scaling. And I was like, I played with it once and I was like, there's no way this is how it's supposed to work. And WizardBeast was like, it's good, it's so good, it just kills everybody. Like, well, yes, it just kills everybody because it's not doing what it's supposed to do. And then they took it away.
Yeah,
but
they
like,
fixed it.
That was just like straight up there for a while, and it was meaningfully making the character better.
A lot better.
These are never bugs that make them worse. Interestingly, but
that's kind of true. We have had some of those, but long ago. More recent ones are not. Like, remember in the beginning, Jaina's ice block just didn't work at all. There were a few weird ones, but generally, I agree. It's the characters are being buffed by this stuff in ways that they shouldn't. Some of them are more fringe than others, but none of this stuff should be happening the way it is. So hopefully they can get some fixes out for it, because it's important. You shouldn't have to know all this fringe information when, especially in Dragon Mirrors, like, good God, the Dragon Mirrors with all the triggers and stuff that has been added via different passives and the new characters, it just so much happens in a turn, and I look at it and I'm just like, what the hell just happened? Like, I know all these characters, I know all of what they do, and I still don't know about like 3 different things that happened that turn. So if you thought the Dragon Mirror and stuff was crazy before, they just turned it up to 11. It's pretty nuts.
That's goofy. That is another good quality of life upgrade. Speaking of like the replay like sidebar thing, right? That is like, it's fine for normal standard Hearthstone because like 10 actions happens over like 2 turns in some cases. But in Mercs, like literally it just goes like, okay, everything that happened last turn, and then it just goes like, and they all disappear, and you literally can't look. You literally can't look at what happened. Like, that's crazy. That's another quality of life thing that we definitely should expect, I think. But that maybe that's something that ends up coming with like, if we ever launch Mercenaries 2, right? And you get to implement a whole new thing to it. I think a sliding scale is the easiest way to change it, probably, where you can be like, you can actually like move up and down that scale to see past events that happened in those turns. I don't know, but it does certainly feel awkward.
Will fix that for us, but I know they should not do. But
exactly. Oh, go ahead.
What does Battlegrounds do? Because I don't play Battlegrounds that much. I can't remember really.
They don't have a sidebar, right?
There's nothing. Yeah, you don't get to know anything that happened. But it's kind of like not super relevant. It's, you really only care about the outcome, and you do get to see, that's just kidding. The only outcome they show you is when you can hover. It has that same sidebar of however many people, but if you hover them, it just shows the results of the last 2 combats. It doesn't tell you what happened, but it tells you the number of health change.
Yeah,
that's right. It has the other players on the sidebar.
Yeah. I think
there's a ton of information in that too, right? Like that hover,
there
is. You just hover that, and it shows you like a ton of stuff. So again, the framework is there to be more than whatever it is just regularly for standard. They clearly just copy paste how it normally goes, ship it.
I think that's what they did. Yeah.
They
haven't actually worked on it.
Because they need that in standard too, to be honest. Like, if your opponent plays a ton of stuff in a turn in standard, you can't go back and look at that. And that's been a fundamental flaw of the game for a very long time. I don't know if it's one of those things where it's like legacy code, where that's been around since the beginning and they're afraid to mess with it because then it's going to break something else. And because, I mean, Hearthstone has evolved so much into become kind of a platform for these different games rather than just being about the card game, which, it's great. It gave us Mercenaries, which is, reignited my passion for the game much more than I felt in any of the other formats. So it's great that they're doing that, but I think all of us can agree there's been a notable rise in the amount of bugs and stuff that get through, especially in the last 2 to 3 years. Like, I've played Hearthstone for 8 years. It's always had bugs. There's always been problems. But in the last 2 to 3 years, I have noticed more stuff seeping through the cracks and more of these issues being bigger issues than happened 4, 5, 6 years ago. It just
like a power creep, like a fundamental side car to power creep that like as the complexity of cards necessarily rises, the number of interactions you have to balance becomes larger and larger.
Could also be work from home stuff too. You know, they did transition. They were doing everything in the office, and now I think even still it's somewhat remote based. So that could add issues too. You know, if communication's already a hard thing sometimes with how many people you have working on stuff, that adds another like wall to it of getting the information to the right people. So maybe as, you know, the transition to like people being all back in the office and stuff continues, maybe it'll get a bit better. That's my hope at least, but we'll have to wait and see on that front because it's not just us talking about this. Like, you know, I watch a bunch of different other Hearthstone creators and they've all been echoing the same things. You know, regardless of format, it's like the last 2 to 3 years, there've been a lot more bugs and it's starting to get really noticeable. But one, you know, speaking of Blizzard, we do have a special announcement here. Funnily enough, do you wanna take this one away, Mullahoo?
Yeah, I officially unlocked my what's it called, a feat of strength. I think in WoW, whatever the fancy achievements. I unlocked my feat of strength where I was graciously gifted some giveaway bundles to give to the community. And I said, hey, can I do this through the podcast? And they said, yeah, for sure. And so I said, heck yeah, let's do it. So the rules are as follows. If you've made it this far into the podcast, you will learn about it. Otherwise, you'll have to catch it on Twitter or people talking about it, because what we're going to do, there are 2 standard bundles where it's like the 60 packs, the 2 legendaries, the card back, but like the smaller version of the bundle, not like the 81 that has the mercenaries packs, right? So not that one, but the 61, sick value. How you enter is we are going to make a post on the Fighting Pit podcast Twitter account that is just at Fighting Pit. And that's going to be the hub post where you have to create a custom mercenary. I did it on stream. I'm going to even potentially post that video online somewhere potentially, but people are starting to do it and it's actually really sick. It's actually extremely hard. It takes a lot of time. So we're giving you a week. The deadline is next Friday. Create a custom mercenary. Try to use Blizzard art only or tag the artist, etc. But I did it basically the hard mode, right? Try to keep it all in Blizzard. Try to have you pick a character that would kind of make sense from the WoW lore, something they might do. Again, you can do whatever you want, but we will be the judges. I think it'll probably be Zombies, WizardBeast, and I. We will pick the 2 best mercenaries. Don't worry about sloppiness, right? It's about design. Don't worry about getting the pictures right. Transparency is weird. It can be a pain in the butt. We'll link to hearthcards.net, which I think is the website that allows you to make these custom mercenaries. Post it on that Twitter page. If you get there first, right, don't slow roll it until the end because you don't want someone else to compete against you. So if you get it done, get it out there, put it there. People will start talking about it. We'll start commenting, etc. You might get ideas. Check it out, but that is where it's going to be. The deadline is next episode next week, about Friday night. Today, it's the 25th, ending in a week. Good luck. It should be fun. It'll be a blast. So stay tuned. But go check out some mercenaries. Go check out some custom mercenaries. There's a spot for it in the Discord. But yeah, very exciting. So we're going to give away 2 of those bundles and we'll pick the winners next week.
Yeah, I'm really pumped for this to see all the
sounds awesome.
The fun stuff people come up with. Let
me confirm that because I might enter. So you have to make a custom mercenary.
Custom mercenary.
The deadline is next Friday.
The deadline is next Friday, which is like this.
We have to use Blizzard artwork and lore.
It's April Fool's.
It's April.
Not a joke.
That's good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. April Fool's.
Nothing's gonna go wrong with that. I'm sure it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
All right. So the design is more important. Don't worry about the looks, aesthetics.
Yeah.
So that's like the skills and everything. What was the website?
If you can make a sick, if you have an insanely well designed merc and then it going up against another insanely well designed merc and like it goes to tiebreaker kind of stuff, like art or really cool art design, like that's still part of the design, right? But we're not going to punish you for like copy pasting the pictures just into one photo or anything like that. Like don't worry about how you show it to us. It's about the content itself. But what's the other question you're saying?
It was hearthcards.net.
Oh, yeah.
And this will all be in the video and audio description. So I'll have a link to Hearth cards. One important thing to note is that you have to click the little red mercs button. It's pretty small and a little bit hard to see. Like the first time I was doing it, I couldn't figure it out how to make it not like a traditional Hearthstone card. There's a little red text right above on the left-hand side that says mercs. You click that, and that lets you do all the design stuff there. It takes like a little bit of navigating to get used to it. And then I'll also post the Mercenaries Discord posted a like a background template like from the game.
Yeah.
So
it's in the pinned channel, or it's the pinned post in the custom Mercenaries channel in the Mercenaries Discord. But like we said, we'll post it so that you guys can have it.
I'll have a link to that, so you can just throw that in MS Paint or your editing software of choice or whatever, and then just throw the images you make from Hearth cards in there, and should be cool. I had a lot of fun making my custom one. I was kind of inspired by Mullahoo. WizardBeast made like Deathwing like a few days before Deathwing came out.
Shoutouts, literally on the day before. So whatever was it was last Tuesday.
Yeah, last Thursday.
Oh yeah, Thursday, right? That's what it was. Yeah, so like Thursday, that I want this to be cemented in history because it was actually insane. We had like I started streaming at 12. The announcement was going to come out at 1, and I was like, hey, if you guys make custom mercenaries, we'll talk about them on stream and chit chat about it while we're waiting for the set to drop. And here are apparently the banger. Which it had a cool line. The video had some cool music to it for the underwater set. But we literally, 2 of the mercenaries that we talked about before the set was released, we had no spoilers whatsoever, just pure speculation. WizardBeast made Deathwing, and then another person made Leroy Jenkins. And then both of those were in this set literally 20 minutes later. It was unbelievable. So I was saying that I think this would be an amazing opportunity for Blizzard to actually unironically do, like, have a custom mercenary challenge, like before every set comes out, right? Be like, what do you think is going to come out? Or if you get it right, you win X number of packs, or just like, it's just a community engagement thing. I think that would be really cool. So it's just a great idea. And if we get to do a version of this, we're basically doing it where you get Blizzard stuff if you make a custom mercenary. So we're kind of doing the trial run version of it, but I hope it goes well. I hope, who knows, however many people try, and good luck.
Yeah.
Before we continue, I think I have an announcement to make as well.
All right.
Go for it.
Yeah. So I have some good news as well. Blizzard graciously donated 2 codes to me as well.
Nice.
And so I'm giving away both the codes. One will be on the stream tomorrow. I think I'll put that in my schedule.
On the 26th?
I thought about like what to do. I wanted to do something cool like you guys. But obviously I'm not as creative. And I wanted to make it fair for everybody. So like the easiest thing to do would be just to do a keyword giveaway. So it'll be on stream. Just check my schedule on my Twitch, and
that'll be Sunday for you, correct? Just to help
Sunday.
folks out with time zones and stuff, because this will be going live on
the 27th.
Yeah, so it'll be so Dallas, if you don't know, is from Australia, so he's living in the future. So hit him up for those lotto numbers. But basically, this will be going live at noon, Saturday, 12 p.m. EST. So our Saturday is his Sunday. So just keep that in mind. He has his
like if you're listening to this right now, I'm probably like live when it releases. I might be streaming.
Yeah. So go check him out.
It'll be
a chance to win stuff.
Most likely, all right. It's gonna be. I'm gonna do the giveaway when I reach 888 followers, or at the end of the stream.
Cool.
I'm at like 860 at the moment. So.
Okay. Make that happen.
Yeah.
And again, your Twitch, for people that don't have to look anywhere, what's the Twitch channel they can plug in right now? They can pause the podcast and go and look at your stream.
I mean, they can just go down below, right?
They can go down below.
But I'll tell them anyway. So it's twitch.tv/Dallas_777. And for the second code, I haven't decided. I'll try and make something interesting. And if you want to find out what that giveaway what we're going to do for that giveaway, then just look at my Twitch. I'll probably announce it there.
Sweet.
And these bundles, by the way,
sorry, my Twitter.
Yeah.
The bundles down there for that one.
The bundles don't actually open again until the actual set comes out, right? Actually, you might be able to you can do like the fireside gathering cheese thing to open a little bit earlier.
Yeah, you can open them a little early that way.
So just know that, again, you will have some time to be able to get it to you. And also, Dallas, a reminder to you, giveaway bundle stuff is you have to be friends with them on Battle.net for 3 days before you can actually gift them something, before they can access it. So again, for you guys that want to know, try to get that moving. We'll try to make sure that we give it to you as soon as possible, basically, right? But
so that's only manual gifting, I think.
Oh, really?
With the codes, it's instant. Yeah.
They take the code, they put it in whatever.
Yeah, codes are instant. Yep.
True. But just kidding. I take it back.
That's if you're doing, like, if one of us was gifting something to somebody.
I'm thinking about whether I'll do another giveaway. Maybe, yeah.
Well,
there's enough interest.
Be sure to drop Dallas a follow to stay up to date with all that stuff and get that information as soon as it is available. So that's super exciting. Love seeing some support from Blizzard for, the Mercenaries people. Regular packs and stuff this time, but hey, we'll take what we can get. Maybe, once we get that eventual Mercs relaunch, we can get some Mercenaries bundles giveaways, but always something to hope for in the future. Got that hope.
I'll never do another pre-order like that again. Hey,
hey man.
Oh man, I should have bought all those ones.
The diamonds.
That's the exact reason why I think they'll do it again.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
You're saying, if only, man. If only I knew.
I was kicking myself when because I didn't do any of the pre-orders because I didn't think I was gonna like Mercenaries because of the less than stellar reveal, and so I didn't. And then I did like it, and I was like, damn, like I didn't know how rare. I mean, they said they were going to be rare, but they didn't say, like, they didn't really give us a full picture on just how rare those diamond skins were going to be. Like, I have streamer luck, and I opened Diamond Lich King and Diamond Diablo naturally, so I got lucky. But, like, for the longest time, I was kicking myself because I was like, damn, these are some of my favorite characters, and I love these skins, and I did not realize how difficult it was going to be to acquire them. So maybe one day we'll, with that relaunch, maybe we'll get some more diamond skin bundles, because I know at least me and Dallas would probably pony up some the big bucks for that, because we do like our diamond skins. Like, I think that's one thing I just love.
I've quit
for now.
Sorry, nah. If things are gonna stay the way they are right now,
that's why
very unsustainable.
Relaunch would be the ideal time for this. Like
that was the biggest thing for me when this drop happened. It was like 3 legendaries, or 4 legendaries,
yeah,
4 new diamonds, and I was like, oh, come on.
I didn't think about that.
Having said that, it was kind of nice of them. We do have to give them some credit that they're giving us the Diamond Leroy.
Yeah, that's way better of an end game event reward, right? Than
the free Vandar too. We got that.
That's right. Yeah, we got Vanda.
That's kind of partially why, right? It was probably 7, is they did give us like still. So it was like 6 is still more, and then 5 because the Leroy was semi-free, but. There were some freebies tossed in. That's what I'm saying. Vandar is the
so it was like 5 base.
Well. I don't know if you know.
Oh, what's that?
I think I told. So I told Zombie this already. So in the wording of the Vanda Bundle that was released this week, it says, should I say this or not?
You're fine.
I already started. I have to say
power to the players.
I don't know what it is. Yeah.
So power to the players, right? So in the wording of the bundle, it says, if you do not own the base Vanda, you will get that instead of one of the golden or diamond portraits.
Mm-hmm.
And so they gave us a golden portrait. So most people don't have the
base Vandar.
Yeah. So if you buy that bundle, you don't. I think it's both of them actually. There was 2 bundles. One is like a $50 bundle for me, and then the other is like a $26 one for me.
Yeah, they split it up. Like you can get them together and get like 5 more packs, or buy them individually if you just want one.
That's right. Yeah. I think they screwed up with their own code, because I didn't get the base. I bought both bundles, obviously, but I didn't get the base Vandar. So there's something wrong there. Like, you're getting the other portraits.
So you had no base Vandar, but multiple Vandar skins?
Yeah, so I lost out on the diamond, by the way.
You whiffed on the you're the 50-50 or whatever.
I
to get the diamond.
50-50.
Do you think it's actually scaled? Do we have any understanding as to whether or not the diamond would actually be at like a lesser drop rate?
I'm pretty sure it is. I think they commented on it like once a long time ago that like that it does. We don't have exact numbers or anything,
That's
but
from packs, man. Dude, I think that's from packs, but
maybe
from the bundles, like this is all anecdotal, but I've won multiple 50-50s. I'm telling you, like really, like so I don't yeah.
Yeah, it'd be unlikely if it was still that low 10% or whatever chance they said it was. Like, you probably wouldn't have had it happen multiple times in a row on the supposed 50-50. I think it works that way. I do think, like, if you're only missing 2 of the skins, I think it is like a 50-50 essentially. But we don't have...
That was my instinct, at least. When I would look at it, if I was someone that was going like, oh, should I buy this? I just have a chance, because that's the entire appeal, essentially, right? Like, that's why people want to buy the skins, especially the bundles that have the like
specific skin.
Tell you which skin it is. Yeah, like it tells you that like you just get a portrait for Malfurion or whatever, and then you go, oh, like that is my best odds to flip it and get a diamond, and that's why people do it, right? So like it would again be another bizarre thing. We don't know, but that would feel bad if it looks like a 50-50 and it's not.
Yeah. I mean, I took that 50-50 on Longshin.
Should be on the website.
Anyway. It really should be disclosed, but there are a lot of things that should be disclosed. Like, it should be made more clear to people about, I mean, hey, if we can't even get the PDFs anymore on new releases, it's not surprising. But we won't go down that road, because otherwise we'll be here all night, because I could complain about that endlessly. On a more positive note, I wanted to talk a little bit about PvE. So it is no secret, I have not been a big PvE fan or advocate for quite some time. It just comes with the territory of creating content. PvE content, a lot of the time, is just not as engaging for a lot of people to watch. At least the people who, the viewing audience I've accumulated has been more PvP focused. However, they finally learned how to do something right with PvE, and it's such a relatively small step in the right direction, but we're taking anything we can get at this point. So I'll let you guys know about this, because I don't know if you've experienced it yourself in game yet, because I know you both said you haven't had a whole ton of time to dive into all the new stuff yet, but we got new bounties, and they actually made the rewards for these bounties not awful this time. So for the first time, I think ever, in Mercenaries with a new batch of bounties, there are no launch mercenaries in the rewards chest for any of these bounties. Every bounty,
all of them.
Well, let me elaborate. So there is one bounty in specific, Undead Onyxia, where all 3 reward coins are from this new drop. So it's Kazakus, it's Onyxia, and it's Deathwing. So that one, A+, home run. I spent so much time farming there, and it was endlessly more enjoyable than doing 1-1. So that was great. The other ones are also good. Most of them have 2 of the new mercs, and then the third one is at least a merc from a drop. So they have quite a few from the last drop, so like the Celestial drop, like Longjin's in there, Nuzao's in there, Yulon's in there. And then, 1 or 2 of them have some of the older drops too, but most of them have 2 coins. I think there's like 1 or 2 that just have 1 of the new guys, but all the coins and all the bounties are at least not launch mercenaries. And that one I mentioned in specific, Undead Onyxia, was actually really good. I timed it out. If you need coins for all 3 of those characters, it is better than 1-1. And that's great.
I think they'll continue to do this.
I hope so.
Like
I hope so.
Because I talked to a couple of people that were playing from launch, and then they quit, and they've come back just from this new drop, and they found it very well, not very, but much easier, and not as not as difficult, challenging to catch up because of that. So I think we'll be seeing new bounties have rewards from
like more recent stuff.
Most recent,
and it's great
most recent drop
for because I mean, I know for a fact I'm in the minority of people going out of my way to max all these characters, that 95% of people probably do not have the last drop maxed yet, right? Like, most players probably haven't put in, other than like the hardcore of the hardcore PvP grinders and maybe a few PvE grinders as well, maybe you have like one guy, one of the rares done or something, or local are done or something. But like, I think most people aren't putting that crazy amount of time in to get it done. So these bounties are even higher value for them. Or if you took a break or something, like I don't think you have any of the newer guys maxed, right, Mullahoo, from like the last drop or something.
Only my local are.
Yeah, exactly. So this one is like a windfall for you because you don't even have to just do Undead Onyxia. You could do some of the other ones, and when you have a bounty giving you all 3 of the reward slots as coins you need, I cannot emphasize how much of a better feeling it is. And because we know how punishing it was when it wasn't like that. You spend 10, 15 minutes of your time, and then you get nothing you need, and it's just like, all right, I want to close the game and do something else now. And so the fact that we're finally getting a step in the right direction with that is really, really good. It's literally made my farming experience just, I don't hate the game when I'm farming, and that's a beautiful thing. Like, because 1-1 was, it was doing some rough things to me. It really was. And
I mean, whoever made that decision, it was a good,
definitely.
Good job. Yeah,
the new stuff.
Good design choice.
Yeah, finally, we need more of them. But you know what? Again, we take in what we can get, praise where it's deserved, and I hope we can see more stuff like that in the future. Unfortunately, the last bounty is time gated after the Leroy event. This is one thing I really still don't like.
The Meta one is still closed.
That zombie. Why don't you like it?
So the thing to me that I really dislike about it the most is that, so I like that, we're getting Leroy for free, and if you do the event, you get some coins for him, and that's great. But the thing that annoys me the most, and it was more annoying with Chi-Ji because they locked his best item behind it, whereas Leroy, it doesn't matter quite as much because it's not his best item, in my opinion, that's locked behind it.
Yeah, which equipment do you get from?
It's the third one. I don't remember what it does, but the first one is the one I like the most. Gives him that extra attack.
Super huge attack, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the third item's okay or whatever, but it's not like Chi-Ji where, I mean, we all remember what happened when that Chi-Ji thing came out. It totally changed, like, people tried Chi-Ji builds before and it was okay, but it wasn't really working out. And then that item came out, and then with the bug on top of it, it was like, whoa, Chi-Ji's a meta player.
That was the bonus heal power. Like, you made the best Chi-Ji ability, got you bonus heal power, and did more damage. Like 4 more damage. You suddenly had a 3-speed deal 14 from a blue that also had a relevant another line of stat on it. And so, like, yeah, that was definitely legit. But
the reason I don't like the way they handle this is because currently the only bounty you can do to get Leroy coins is that locked bounty. So if you want to farm up Leroy coins outside of the ones you get from the event, you have to basically get lucky when you're doing a bounty and get that party roll slot on the Leroy coins, where you have to go into 1-1. There's no other way to farm up your Leroy coins until that bounty drops. And
yeah, that is weird.
It's in like, it's not like they're holding it back to release later. The content is in the game. We just can't access it. And the other thing is, it also makes your packs worse because you cannot get Leroy coins in packs currently. It's
that's what they should definitely change.
And that was also like the Chi-Ji one, right? Where like
same thing.
Rolled the ability to get it from the packs.
It's very weird that because we know from when Vanessa was added in the battle pass, we know that the technology exists for them to be able to have a mercenary locked to an event or to the tavern pass or whatever. But with Vanessa, you couldn't get Vanessa for 3 or 4 days, but when you opened the packs from that drop, you could get her coins in the packs. So the technology's there, and
you're right.
It should, like, there's no reason, because literally we're already, if you're in a position like I am where I have most of the stuff collected, packs are really, really awful. And the fact that it goes from a 7 out of 77 chance to a 6 out of 77 chance to get a coin that I need, that hurts. Like that's just, I don't like, the other thing is I don't like how it essentially time gates being able to max Leroy. Like, you just can't max Leroy until they say you can. Like, that's really dumb to me, because like, I get what they're trying to do with it, but I think it's one of those things that's way more beneficial to the business than the players, and so I just don't like it.
Do you think? Yeah, but no, I see what you're saying, man. Like, you can't. Your main concern about the time gating is like you can't farm and max it. I agree with you about the packs. I think you should still be able to get them from the packs, but like I kind of like that it is locked. And some other players that I talk to also agree that it's nice because you don't feel that pressure. Like there isn't. I know like we're hardcore PvP players and we want to max ASAP, but it's nice that they took that pressure away from us having to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
could we get the Chi-Ji? Was there a bounty that gave us Chi-Ji coins?
No.
Last time, so it's the exact same thing where like you couldn't farm Chi-Ji coins at all until
I think
it was
done on purpose. To be honest,
I do too.
Like
it's not an accident.
I mean, but
maybe it's Blizzard trying to look out for us.
I honestly,
maybe.
No, I mean, honestly, it could be because I would say
for our mental health.
Yeah, honestly, like I remember with the Chi-Ji event, I remember thinking like, I did remember experiencing positive emotions with the fact that Chi-Ji was that people went, oh, this guy looks cool, but we almost know that we don't have their best item yet. I almost wish that they had, or maybe it would have felt different if they do that with Leroy now, because it like forced people to try Chi-Ji with their other stuff. Like there were people playing the one where it healed beasts. There were people that were playing, like there was actually people trying to make that work. Apparently that was also bugged, where it was like buffing them actually from the bench, and people didn't even know to try it because it was neat, but it wasn't good enough. We were still waiting. But I kind of liked that it got people to try what we thought was like a medium merc. We get an understanding of what we thought it was, and then they switched it up on us with a potentially even better thing. Like I didn't mind the way that worked, and there was enough stuff to do already. But I do totally understand that it does really feel weird that right now you can own a mercenary and not choose to get coins for it unless you give it tasks.
Or 1-1
again, or 1-1, but 1-1 I think it's kind of safe to assume that 1-1 is clearly like an artifact that they did not expect people to do, and
but air elemental level
really can't change it unless
they better not
something else happen. Like that would be unbelievable if they changed that, right? So
it would be pretty believable, but I'd be really mad.
It's factually believable, but no. So that certainly feels weird to me, and I totally understand what you mean in that, because I don't even think you need to make it about maxing, right? Like because they've explicitly said, chill. They said stop. They said stop just maxing everything right away. You're going too fast. And so, but you don't even have to max it, right? It just needs to be playable. Like you can't play Leroy until they're playable. You can't play mercs until they're playable. You have to be able to get a way to give you coins other than tasks, because tasks are just such a random shot in the dark. You want to get tasks for other people. That still takes forever. Like you want to do it twice. So
it's not just PvP either. Like, what if someone just wants to use their Leroy in PvE? Like, you need to get his abilities up for him to be usable in some of the higher level content. So, I understand your guys' perspective too. Like, there's definitely, multiple aspects to it. The thing that concerns me on top of it is I wouldn't mind them doing a time gating like this if the cycle of content we're getting were not already so fast. Like I don't want them to tell me when I can play something when I only have a month to like to do stuff before new stuff is relevant. And, new stuff will interact with the other new stuff, but it's like when new content comes out, like the views I get on stuff I put out focusing on the new characters is almost always like double anything else. Like people want to see the new characters. They want to see if they're good. They want to see how they stack up. And not everyone has that time to just grind away for, I don't even want to admit how many hours a day and get it there so you can do it. And so, that's why I'm doing what I do. But I'm a little worried that the new mercs I think, and I'm already thinking of signs right now. I hope it doesn't break them. But I think the next drop is going to be earlier in April. I think we're going to run into a situation. You guys remember when the mini set came out, that was the fastest follow-up in mercs we'd ever gotten, right? Like it was like 3 weeks, which is nothing. Like most of the other ones are like 4 or 5 weeks. 3 weeks is insane because generally the hardcore PvP people we grind out this stuff in like a week-ish. You know, less time if you're only grinding like one or two of the characters for a team. About a week if you're trying to grind them all or most of them. That's been the timetable I've experienced, and I've talked with other people, and that's been pretty consistent relatively. For the hard.
Sorry for you, man.
It's okay. It pays off at the end, but it takes time, right? And that 3-week window, even for like the not super hardcore grinders, I think a lot of people were like, this feels kind of fast. And I think the time gating is one of those things that's going to make this feel worse, because we have to wait until the Leroy event ends on the 5th to get access to this bounty.
Can't be efficient.
And so then that gives us the expansion's the 12th, and I think the expansion is going to be when they drop new stuff. It's not for sure. It'd be like,
I was thinking about that.
It'd be 3 weeks, probably too. Essentially. It'd be about 3 weeks.
Especially if you think that this is supposed to be like that, the only reason this had so many was to like play catch up. The whole point is to stay on track. And
exactly.
if it is to stay on track, then it would seem to launch with the new expansion.
I thought they were just releasing it early so that they don't like cannibalize their sales, sort of thing. Do you think there's going to be more mercs in like a week or two?
Yeah, well, the expansion it's still a little bit ways out in like
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
like a little bit more than 2 weeks, right?
The
2nd and the 8th, like 2 and a
half weeks, basically.
It probably will.
Yeah,
but I don't think there'll be many. Maybe
not 7, but
couple.
Probably not 7.
Not 7,
no. But 5.
Not 5.
It's going to be 5. 5's the new magic number. That's the. They haven't done less, and it's like that's a lot to keep up with. And I know we've talked about, like, they've even said, like, we don't intend people to max everything out. Well, people are going to do it, right? I'm going to do it. I don't care what they intended. I'm gonna play the game the way I want to. I don't
pumping the brakes. Pumping the brakes as hard as they can.
Like I hate when a company tries to tell me you're doing this not the right way. It's like I'm the player. Like what is fun for me or what's enjoyable for me should just be like I should be allowed to play the way I want. Like I don't need Big Brother telling me you got to slow down. It's just because like I'm not playing the other Hearthstone modes because of this, because I don't have time for it. And obviously that's probably not something they want. They want this to be a thing people can do in addition to other Hearthstone stuff. That's why we've seen, if we remember the timing, and that's why like we got this stuff before the expansion and all the pre-reveals and all that stuff. If we remember the timing with the mercs that dropped during Onyxia's Lair, they dropped the mini set. We got new mercs with the mini set, but they put that event a week afterwards. And the Leroy event, it would have been a week after the initial patch. However, the patch got, pushed 2 days from Tuesday to Thursday. So instead of a week, it was only like half a week, a weekend or whatever. But it would have been a week. So there's a tendency there. And I would not be surprised if we see the same thing with this new patch. The 12th hits, the expansion drops. It's a huge, 2.0, it's 3.0 probably, 3.0 patch, and they're going to throw some mercenaries in there, and then if they want to do another event already, I don't know if they will or will not, but if they do, they're going to be like, all right, in a week, this event starts for mercenaries. So that's, I'm just noticing patterns, right? Like, because they told us that, they straight up admitted they haven't been able to keep the mercs content pipeline up to what they want it to be, especially relative to the financial success it has had. So it wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing more of these events, and what better time to do an event than when an expansion drops, when a mini set drops. Those are kind of like the hype times where you're getting people who maybe have taken a break back into Hearthstone. And like so many people told me, even though that Chi-Ji event was not aimed at new players, so many people, like I lost count of how many people said, hey, I played Mercenaries at launch. I stopped playing in the first month or so. This event sounded cool, so I'm playing it again. Like so many people said that, and this wasn't even geared towards new players. So I think they learned about that a little bit with the Leroy event, because it's easier. The bounties are way easier than Alterac Valley. The tasks so far have been easier. There are 1 or 2 on there that do require some more specific units. But if we compare it to Chi-Ji, it's night and day in terms of difficulty. Like it's not even comparable to me, which is good.
Like has there been any, just again from your pure observations, how has the response been in terms of, okay, this is now the second event? Has there been as much of a response of people being like, oh, I saw the Leroy event, I'm coming back? Are the people that came back just now they're still here? So the people that might have said that, like I all
think
came
that's
back
the case, kind of. Like I'm sure there's some people who came back for the Leroy event, but I haven't. I think because the Chi-Ji event was the first time and it was something new. Right. Also, I think another thing it has to do with is, you know, there have been a lot of complaints about the standard metagame and even Battlegrounds too.
It was like the most tedious of the end game of the metagame where we're just waiting for it to die and flip over.
Yeah, we're waiting for rotation, right? Like, and that's like literally the biggest time of the Hearthstone year for the majority of the player base, no matter what you play, is that rotation, right? Because even me as like a wild player, I'm not looking forward to, you know, all these great cards are getting out of standard. I could care less. The thing I look forward to about rotation is they've established a precedent for unnerfing cards they had to nerf for power level and standard. Right. And that changes the wild metagame sometimes in crazy ways. Like one of my favorite decks of all time, controversial opinion, Quest Rogue, original Quest Rogue.
Caverns from Below.
Yeah, Caverns Below, that got reverted. It got, you know, it was originally play 4 of the same minions. Then they nerfed it to 5, totally was pretty unplayable, disappeared, and then it saw no type of play in Wild, and then they reverted it last year, and it didn't pick up right away, but over time the metagame changed and shifted, and now Caverns Below is a tier 1 deck in Wild. And so like I love that because Wild doesn't get a lot of direct support, and that's probably an understatement. But they've been doing a little bit better. Like they're doing a Wild pre-release thing. I saw a bunch of
like the theory crafting thing.
That's a first, and so I'm happy to see that mode get any love because I consider myself a part of the Wild community, even though I don't really produce content on it. I always hang out in like Wild streams. I know a lot of the people who do the great content for the mode. And there's a lot of overlap with the issues Wild faces and Mercenaries faces, in my opinion, in terms of wanting the developers to give the mode more care than is being given to it. So I think we can really relate there. And it's kind of like one of the more memed on modes, right? Like you got Wild, you got Mercenaries, you got Duels. Duels has kind of been gaining some stock recently because people have been really enjoying it. But like, if you go into like a Battleground stream or a standard stream, and especially with Mercenaries, all you have to do is say the word, and the reactions in the Twitch chat are just, it becomes a roasting session real fast. So it's
to be a Wild gamer.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I look forward to with rotation, but it's literally like the biggest time of the Hearthstone year. I know that's why I think you were expecting a bit more from the last patch, Mullahoo, with like mercs, because we're getting right near there. So it's like a good time to kind of add some of those quality of life changes. You know, maybe we do see some of that in the 3.0 patch or whatever, but just to set people's expectations, we know the Exis coin thing isn't coming soon. Like Ixer talked about it on the AMA. It's in early stages. It's not coming soon.
And this one? And like today?
No, like 2 weeks ago or something.
They're doing another AMA. I
asked a question.
Did you ask that? You should have.
No.
Was it Mercenaries related?
It was Mercs related. My question, and I hope he answers it, is are nerfs on the table for Mercenaries? Like at all. And I was like, I understand it takes a lot more time to grind out a character and stuff. So I understand having a much more light-handed approach, not rushing to nerf something like in standard or even Wild, which sometimes gets the occasional nerf if things get really overly degenerate. But in mercs, we haven't had, the only nerfs we've had were little like bug fixes and stuff. So we haven't had a direct nerf to a character. We saw buffs, and so we know that's technically on the table, but in terms of nerfs, we don't know. I think in the very early days, Paul talked about it and said it's possible, but that was launch, and we haven't heard anything about it since then. And this can be kind of a segue into talking about the PvP meta a bit, but Frost is still king. Like, there are new strategies seeing play. There are things that can beat Frost, but good God, is Frost just it has the metagame in a chokehold. Like it is just
just local R is stupid, or
yeah,
it's Local R and Valera. Local R and Valera are the two characters that are warping the game harder than anything else, and it's because, you know, Local R was printed at a near Valera power level because he was supposed to be the Valera counter, right? Like, it was just very obvious that's what he was supposed to be. The problem is Local R, he amps up Frost strategies so much, and he punishes more than just Valera going fast. That's the big issue. If he was more targeted at Valera, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with it, because then I could play non-Valera comps and it'd be fine. The issue is he doesn't just punish Valera for going fast. He punishes literally anything that on turn one wants to go 5 or less speed.
Yeah.
Like there's so many characters like that. And it's like when the character is so powerful that sometimes it feels right to do nothing, you have a problem. Like it's just like Frost just got so much support so fast, and we haven't gotten a dude with Frost weakness, or not Frost weakness, Frost resist, or like there's we haven't gotten a really good counter to it, which means we're locked into some of the old counters against it, which were like, you know, Rag stopping the fast Varden freezes, or Cornelius blocking the elemental, but there's only so much of that, and it feels like it's really gatekeeping a lot of comps out of the meta, and it's unfortunate because, like, whenever we get a new character, you have to think about, okay, what if this is sped up by 4? Like, or God forbid we get another Frost character. What if this is scaled up by 4, 8, 12 damage from a Local R? It's just like, it really messes with a lot of the balance, and it sucks because I think they've actually been killing it with the majority of mercs this year have been powerful. They feel directed towards PvP, or at least seeing play in PvP. And they haven't felt, for the most part, like a Valera or Local R level where they just go in everything and they're good. Like, most of them require a little bit of building around. There's synergy there. Like, 2022 Mercs design has been fantastic, in my opinion. It's just these two sticking out, like, that are just over the bar. And I think it's really choking out a lot of these other strategies that could see play and make the metagame more fun and diverse.
Yep, agreed.
No, definitely agree.
See, I lost my thought. I think I should have stopped.
Sorry.
Local R being too strong. No counter yet. I don't even know how you counter Local R either. Like, you can't. Like, you have to one shot it. Yeah,
pretty much.
You just have to just kill it. That's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Far out. I lost my. No,
you need like another blue nuking champ.
It's funny how they print something broken, to break something, to counter something broken, which is, you know, Lock was printed to counter Leroy, right? I do think, like, right now they're not thinking about nerfing, otherwise they would have done it already, right? And there may be a reason why they're not nerfing, and I think
access coins.
Yeah, that's you can't refund people.
They can't refund. Yeah, exactly.
They can't refund. There's no compensation system. So once they get that compensation system put into place, then we may start to see some nerfs, hopefully.
I honestly hope XR gives us any other answer other than that.
We got an answer, folks.
Live on stream.
Yeah. All right.
What do we got?
So I asked a 2-part question. I also asked him what his favorite mercenary is, because I wanted just a fun question in there.
Good. So bait him with emotions.
Yeah, exactly. So he is a Baron Geddon fan. He's just such a loyal guy, and Rag doesn't treat him right. Angry face. And yes, on the table, we'd rather solve through meta change, but would step in with balance change if necessary. So that's good. That's what I want to hear.
More of I fully would have expected him to just be like, once we can refund it, then maybe. But maybe that's. So, I mean, that's good that they at least said, I mean, maybe this is somehow less of a cop-out, because they said, like, yeah, we'll think about it. And they said, because they are staying internally consistent to that original patch that said, by the way, this is the craziest matchmaking system ever. By the way, we're not really going to try to nerf stuff. You guys should figure it out. Well, we trust that you guys will figure it out. And they have stuck with that.
And they want to change it with new stuff, right? They want to change it with new characters. Like, that's why they printed Locke to try and deal with Valeera. But the thing is, like we said, like, Locke just, I think,
just went overboard.
Yeah,
the numbers are just too big.
And
it was just growing pains with designing these champs that counter each other, because Valeera was the first like true supervillain that actually deserved a targeted snipe. And we just don't know what was too strong yet. We had never had a too strong, and we never had a how do we stop the too strong. This is the first time. It was kind of a historic moment. It was cool to see. We realized the mistakes of speed manipulation, and a +4 being able to be a +12 or more is just insane.
And buffing other units.
I truly just chalk it up to first time and done.
If Localar wasn't Frost, like,
it was just Localar,
it might be okay. Like, it might be okay if it wasn't in Frost, one of the already most powerful archetypes that not only had great base set support in Jaina and Varden, but also that same set got even more insane support with Belinda. Like, it's a critical mass of support for Frost, and it feels bad for fans of other archetypes like Murlocs and Demons. It's like, where's our support for that? Like, they're starving here.
No, 100%. I totally agree. I wish that Localar was just fell and call it a day.
Yeah.
But really, just make him green. Just recolor it. Just reskin it. Make him green. Make a Hulk skin instead of a Santa skin. But I mean, honestly, when you think about it, it's not. We've almost proven that it isn't just a matter of critical mass, because we've gone nuclear with how many dragons we have, and
it's still fine.
I mean, it's a super strong deck, right? It is. Dragons are good, 100%. They're good, but they don't elicit the same response of, like, you see a Localar and you're like, all right, well, can't play the video game anymore. Like, it's just a single dude 1-9s your entire team. And so it's not just a critical mass problem. It's just a numbers problem. It's just too big. He's just too much damage.
Sinestra also falls in that boat a little bit, but I cut her a little bit of slack because I think there are better counters and counterplay to Sinestra.
So you could figure it out. You could just, like, use your brain, and it would come up in the late game, and you could finagle some angles and over 2 turns, or set up who's going to die.
Exactly.
There's just tons of counterplay. If you don't one-shot Localar on the spot, you lose the game.
Yeah, it's just
so many situations where you see Locke, and then you're just like, all right,
it's like, okay,
you're not getting runs anymore. And especially in a game that is
like
so
checkmate.
Yeah, literally. There's never been another Merc that is just, you play it and it's checkmate, which is why it's so, I mean, obviously why it's even just still so good off the bench, and that you can just open with checkmate. It's a pretty good opening move, I would say.
Yeah, like, I've learned to, if I see an opening lock, unless I'm running like a Valeera comp, I never play around going slow anymore, because they almost never go for it because they expect you to play around it. And then they always go for it on, like, turn 2. So I'm just like, screw it. Like, I'm not playing around it on turn 1 anymore, unless, like, I'm doing, like, a super fast Valeera deck. And even then, it's hard to play around it. But, like, it's just like, screw it. Like, you know what? I'm just taking the chance. If they do it, they do it. And that's what we take.
Even when you go fast, it's like, because of his equipment, you're just buffing up the Varden and
anybody.
Yeah,
else,
exactly. Even if you kill him, like, even if you find a way to one-shot the Localar, you're still getting zapped for a bunch. I mean,
even played that mind game, you know?
Yeah,
I'm not going to go fast or slow.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
I was that, like, I wasn't the Valeera abuser, essentially. I played Localar Varden. It was just, every single time, you either Localar went crazy or your Varden did 22 damage to their entire team.
Yep.
Like,
and slows.
That's pretty good. and the slow is good. And in that way, it's like, oh, well, if you Varden slow them, then they're really slow for next turn. So your Localar can't do that much, right?
Yeah, but who cares?
It's like, no, again, the damage that they output, the equity that they represented from a single click of a button, or it, like you said, in many cases, you don't even have to hit a button. You just sit there. You put that piece onto the chessboard, and your opponent just doesn't have a piece that's nearly as good as it.
Yeah. No, it's so, well, it's nice we get a little bit of live confirmation here about that it's not off the table. Balance, like, at some point, I do think that they won't directly say, you know, it's related to the not having a refund system, but having heard Ixar talk before about how he feels about, like, obviously the refund thing is a fundamental part of Hearthstone, but he doesn't like incentivizing people disenchanting their collection. Like he's talked about that multiple times before. He thinks it's not like a good thing. Like if he was the initial designer, he said he would have wanted to find a different solution for nerfing rather than people profiting from making their collection smaller, which I can kind of understand. But
people love profiting from making their collection smaller, though. That's like what people talk about Arena all the time. Is like they wish that you could dust stuff in Arena. Like I think it's pretty bold to be disparaging of the dusting system when it's literally the best system that any legal current modern card game has.
I mean, I agree with you personally. I'm just sharing his view on it.
How does it feel negatively about that when there's so many other bloody things that they need to fix?
Well, yeah. No, and I mean, he said they're not going to be like changing the thing because it's expected precedent. Like people would lose their fucking minds if we didn't get
a wild card system or whatever.
Yeah, or just anything. But I get the idea of that where it's like we'd rather give people a positive feeling in a different way than doing it that way. Again, not really how I see it personally, but like I get the mindset there. But there's just
from standard. So why are they making this again? Like, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of stuff they didn't. Yeah, we won't go super into that because we'd be here all night. But yeah, there's a lot of lessons that still have to be learned from base Hearthstone that it already learned and accomplished that Mercenaries just needs to pick up. Deck slots, for the love of fucking God, give us more than 9 deck slots. I can't, like, it's so painful.
Just get the intern to do a bloody case study on Hearthstone and, teach them again.
Yeah, like, there's just so much that I would really like for us to see. I'll just give some brief thoughts about my experience with the meta. Leroy is better than I thought he would be. I thought Leroy was going to be a meme, and I thought he was going to be unplayable. And so far, I found a home for him. I actually copied Mullahoo's homework here. I stole his lead. And you'll like this one, Mullahoo, because it only requires Leroy, so you can actually get to this one pretty soon.
Okay.
And you don't even need to max out the Leroy, obviously, because you can't right now, but you just need to focus his like skill 1, skill 3, item 1, and you don't have to worry about the rest as much. But it's literally, so I took your lead, Varden, Localar, and Tyrion, because big Leroy, right?
Oh, bench like, Leroy, okay.
Yeah, I don't think Leroy's a good lead. I don't think his skill set makes for a good lead unit, but with that additional...
I figured acting at 0 speed on turn 2 is enough of a playability spike, but it's not.
Well, the problem is Leroy is very fragile, so if the turn 2 0 is good, he's probably not living to turn 2. He has 64 base non-maxed HP.
Wow, it's very low. Okay.
69 nice maxed. And it's just very, very low. So unless you have a good way to protect him, he's not going to live very long. So that's kind of why I wanted to do the Tyrion buff with him. And that way he comes off the bench. He can just go for that 0 speed Leroy Jenkins right away. You're not incentivized to do that because you do want to get that extra attack from skill 1. That's usually what I go for. Because you hit like a truck. But sometimes, if your opponent's real fast and they're going to mess you up, you just like, all right, let's do this. And boom, 0 speed.
Leroy.
And so that's the open. Same equipment as you're running, Death Rattle on Tyrion, the Varden Death Rattle, and the Localar Scaling. And then the bench is a little bit different. Thrall on the bench because we need a answer to Sinestra, and Thrall scales great with the Tyrion buff. Rogers on the bench because Rogers deals with bench.
I like it already.
Yeah, she's so good, like so good. And then last but not least, Leroy Jenkins. And damn if it hasn't worked. What? Like it's actually pretty sweet. Like it's a fun comp. I really enjoy it. So definitely one that you might want to look out for because you're going to have that free Leroy. You're going to get some coins for him to get him up most of the way. And I was playing with, I didn't even max out all of those 3 abilities. Like I maxed out the item and like one of the abilities and I was still winning with it. So like, might be worth checking out for anyone who wants to play Leroy. Highly recommend that build. That's the best one I found with him.
Frost opener.
I've beaten Frost with that. because his opener is pretty decent against Frost. The thing is, your Localar is getting frozen by the elemental, and you're getting snapped onto. That's just happening. There's really nothing you can do about that. You can prevent a little bit of damage by getting the Divine Shield on the elemental. I learned a lot about the opener when we did our little co-op week or two ago, which was a lot of fun. So I took the information from that, and then the bench plays out kind of similar. Obviously, it's a little bit different because 2 different characters there, but you just have to be smart about what you're sending in first and trying to intentionally get that Tyrion dead as fast as possible. You can beat Frost, though. I have beat Frost with it more than once. So I'm not saying it's favored, but it is a winnable matchup.
Playable.
It's fun.
I want to play Leroy.
Literally.
And Rogers speeding up Thrall is nice and juicy.
Yeah.
Like Rogers speeding up Old Snap, you still have that.
No,
I like it.
You can even dude, she's so good. Like, I love Rogers. She's just also so good.
How sick is it too that I got to get the Rogers
art,
like the reveal, and then basically single-handedly put her on the map in terms of like a competitive comp? That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
It took a little time, but she got there.
It did. It took forever. It took so long because I couldn't figure it out how to make it work. There was just no. It needed the Tyrion. The Tyrion was really the piece that made Rogers feel that it came over the edge,
and the meta shift a little bit, right?
He was the first one to really.
Oh yeah, definitely wasn't the first, truly. But I can't think of any. When I think of like what was a Rogers deck, the only one that was like actually truly committed to the Rogers, in my opinion, is my deck. Otherwise, you can put her in a ton of stuff. Obviously, she's just great.
She's seeing much more play now post Localar, right? Because we needed an answer to Localar, and Rogers gets it done.
That's a huge
like
point.
You kill
basically
to
Localar.
And it's good. Like you get in, if they're leading Localar, you can often get in that hit on turn 1. If you're playing, like, I know you like the build, Dallas, with like it's Valera Varden open, right? I saw you playing that the other night. No, it's
ages ago.
really?
My standard opener now, that I like to use, or one of the builds is Valera Grom and Rogers.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was thinking.
Balance. Yeah, one.
Take that. That's cool.
Yeah, no, I was watching you play some of that on stream the other night, and it's a sweet comp. Like, Rogers is one of those characters, like, I think
you have to react to your what your opponent has.
Yes.
And have to predict what they're going to drop. Yeah, and then you can sort of maneuver your way through most matchups.
Yeah, it's a sweet comp. What's your backline on that again? If you remember.
Belinda, Thrall, Vol'jin.
Gotcha. Oh, that's cool. Vol'jin.
I love Vol'jin. Oh my god. The only reason I'm mad at Cookie is because it made me stop playing Vol'jin on the bench, man. I want nothing. That's why I was so excited.
One speed.
Yeah.
It's that's why I was so excited to see Kazakus, honestly, like to talk about the meta a little bit in terms of things that, like, I'm not even sure if Kazakus is really making waves in the same way, but my first thought with Kazakus, and this is a free comp, this is like what I just posted to Zombies, like literally that day came out, and I just like posted that in the chat, and I was like, the deck was called like eyes emoji or something. I was like, this is the first thing I'm thinking of. But yeah, Kazakus, Vol'jin, X opener. It honestly kind of doesn't matter who the third one is. You just need fast Kazakus. They are your acting taunt option select. They are the triple just summon a bunch of dudes option. And then you have, again, honestly, in a weird way, you can kind of fill it in with whatever you want and then have a Sylvanas on the bench, because Kazakus, Vol'jin, Sylvanas is this wicked sick combo of triple shadow, and then you have a million ways to trigger basically the MAM effect of what people were doing with the Sylvanas Death Rattle, where you had to summon a ton of units. Kazakus cranks out units way better than what's his face there, Samuro, with the mirror.
Better than anybody.
With the mirror images. It's not even close. So you can now actually reliably have that Sylvanas stacking attack Death Rattle in an aggro deck, or like a mid-rangey deck, instead of like this pure control deck that was really trying to build this bomb at the end. Now you get to that bomb faster while still presenting an aggressive strategy with all this crazy funky stuff that Kazakus does. Kazakus is my favorite merc from the drop. I'm the most excited to honestly try them out. And if it gets me playing Vol'jin again, I'm down.
Yeah. Speaking from the meta experience I've had so far, I've seen a bunch of Kazakus Vol'jin, and it works. It's great. It's actually enabled some lead Diablos, because good God, do you get some big Diablos on turn one?
Why? Yeah.
Because every time you're killing off those 3 golems, that's an additional 30 HP to your Diablo.
Yeah, holy moly.
Yeah.
Wow,
And
that's cool.
It's very
double
cool.
slow, too.
Yeah.
Double slow on turn 1, whatever you want. I like it. I like it.
It's pretty sweet. I've seen a few different builds. It's worth. And honestly, one great thing, this goes back into the bounty discussion we were having earlier. That Undead Onyxia bounty, that's the one with 3 brand new merc rewards. That bounty was so good. Kazakus is the first merc from a drop since the first drop for me. I maxed him without doing all 18 tasks. And
no 1.1 essentially.
No 1.1 at all.
Both of those. That's the truth. No tasks, no 1.1.
I did some tasks, but I didn't do them all.
Sorry. No
Any bundles. Oh wait, no,
not all tasks and no 1.1. That's a big deal. That's a brand new thing.
It was just, it happened more organically because I was getting coins for multiple characters I needed, so I felt incentivized because I think the low roll on coins from that bounty is like 45 or 50 at worst for new mercs. The high roll is somewhere between like the 70 to like 80, 85 range. And I mathed it out. It takes you, if you're using the fire comp, which is the one I was farming with, it takes you about 12 to 13 minutes at most. And Heroic 1-1, it takes you about, the fastest Heroic 1-1 you can generally do is about 3 minutes. So you can do 4 Heroic 1-1s in the same time. So the bar there is, in that amount of time, that's 40 coins. 45 is like your low roll in that. So it's just better if you need all 3 of those new merc coins. And it was good, and it felt good to actually... I'm not saying it was challenging, and also Heroic is really weird. Like, don't do Heroic.
Is it Heroic?
I did Normal. Normal is better than Heroic.
Yeah.
Because
it takes too long. You just lose too often.
That's not even what it is. That's part of it. It's because of the weird guaranteed legendary slot can like roll lower. It's very, I won't get all into it, but when they changed that, it was not like a strict buff. And that is part of it though. You do have a higher chance of failure. It doesn't actually take much longer because the heroic's rather easy. It's just you have a higher chance of failure on the boss. But even without that, it's still worse. Just do normal. But that's the big tip about that. Hopefully give you guys a little bit of useful information to get your grind on here, get some of those characters up, because literally it was an enjoyable experience, and I fucking hate PvE most of the time. So like,
did you complete all the tasks first and then do that? Or?
No, that's what I mean. Kazakus, I did it for some of the other guys, but for Kazakus, I think I've only gone up to like 12 or 13, and I maxed him
That's insane.
No, it's big, and I'm not the only one. I've talked with other heavy PvP grinders. Yeah, no, try it out on stream next time, man. You'll be surprised. It's not bad.
That makes me want to consider being willing to grind it, essentially, like that. That's a big deal.
It's we're like the babiest of steps, but we'll take what we can get, because it was
so Undead Onyxia. Up to that.
Undead Onyxia was the one I did. That's the only one with all 3 new merc coins. The other one that is good that I did I maxed out Kazakus and then Onyxia, and then the third one there is Deathwing. So I still need Deathwing coins. So I moved over to the first bounty, because that one is Deathwing, Nefarian, and then I think like Eudora or some random other drop.
Mr. Smite or something.
Yeah, one of those. But it had two out of 3, and 2 out of 3 was still pretty good. I was still getting pretty consistent runs that were actually better than doing 1-1, and it feels great not to be pigeonholed into 1-1. It feels so good.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm tired of it.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna stop grinding Felwood 6.
I mean, Felwood is still worth task grinding. Like, I did task grind all the other guys just because I'm trying to do it very, very fast. But it's like, it gives you some variety. When I got sick of going for strangers, or when I had a terrible 3-4 runs in a row with no strangers, where I was like, screw this, I just go do the bounty. And you can also get a stranger while doing that. It's going to be slower, but you can accomplish the same thing at the same time. So it's like, it's good. It's the first time really since launch, since like a new merc drop, where I felt I wasn't actively hating having to do the same thing over and over and over again in PvE. I felt like even if it was just a little bit better, I felt like the actions I was doing, I was rewarded. Like I was happy to see the coins I got at the end because I was getting a resource that was useful. And that really made a big difference, and that's why I haven't lost my mind with it. Like,
and from their perspective, that also means that you get to get coins for 3 different guys at the same time.
Yeah,
like that you are getting. You're not just turboing 3 people that you want to try out other stuff, and then as soon as you try out other stuff, now you need to level up your other guys to make those other things work, and it just passively builds up your collection, which is kind of what they wanted. I think they just are blown away by how quickly everyone's devoured everything. But I think all of this is in a good direction. I think this is good news.
Yeah. So there are your tips, folks. If you're looking to get some of the new guys up. Undead Onyxia, and then I think it's like Bone Mare or whatever the first one is. Those are the 2 that I spent a ton of time in, and it worked out. Like I'm already 3. I think I am 3 out of the 7 maxed. Yeah, fire comp. Fire comp's what I did, and you can just throw. You only need the 3 fire comp, and you can throw the other 3 as new mercs in the back, and that way you can get the tasks for them.
The main 3 being Baron, Geddon, Rag, and then Belinda still?
Correct, yeah. I used...
I think you can do it with GG instead.
You probably can.
I don't need to look at the elemental dropping down.
Well, the elemental was actually
the freeze
good.
Is pretty nasty.
So
the freeze is so free for a lot of PvP stuff. Or PvE stuff.
I didn't even use the freeze.
On normal.
Oh, you should go for the fire one still?
It's just an extra animation for it to drop down onto the board.
That probably matters less when you're doing not spamming 1.1 stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't have much time to do it.
Animation things, it doesn't matter as much if you're doing an actual unironic heroic run. But I honestly would have thought that you would take the freeze just to like cheese taking damage at one point, or like making sure you don't lose someone. More importantly than like a little bit more fire damage, but could be wrong.
You needed that in Alterac Valley because the normal fights were harder. In these new bounties, it's not as hard as Alterac was, so you can get away with not having to freeze stuff. Because Alterac had hard normal fights. It did. This one does not. It's much easier.
Okay.
It's like night and day difference. The reason I like the elemental, the fire elemental, it enables you being able to clear in one turn sometimes because you get the fire damage on there. Also, it means you can use that combo to trigger Baron Geddon instead of using Belinda's fire, and then you can use Belinda's second ability to put more fire weakness on something, so you're getting more of those one turn full clear. Because you go Belinda fire weakness on one thing, you do the fire elemental fire weakness on another, that triggers Geddon, which AoEs, and then Rag cleans it up with Die Insect. And so most of those regular fights you clear in one turn. So the time of the elemental spawning is made up for the fact that you're not taking a second turn a lot of the time. So it evens out. It's actually, I try it out. It's pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely but you can use Chi-Ji. Like you said, like Chi-Ji, I'd say Chi-Ji is like a budget replacement, kind of.
I haven't tested it with the grinding that you're talking about, doing the bounties. I was just doing Felwood 6 right now.
Yeah.
So I stopped using
yeah, for that one Chi-Ji's definitely better because you want to be saving time because Felwood 6 is lower level content anyway, right? So you just want to blast through it so you can get to that stranger. Whereas these ones, you still are trying to blast through it quickly, but being able to just get that one turn kill on the normal fights, it speeds up your run. And so it works out pretty well. Like I'm
high level bounties, if you want to one shot the fights, if you're saying you can one shot the fights, and that's really good.
Yeah. Like they're easier though than Alterac is a big part of it. The Alterac Valley normal fights are probably the hardest normal fights in the game, and I would say it's not particularly close.
Alterac, those are the ones that were the heroics that get nerfed to do, right? So like that was just scaled up by a lot.
And even nerfing those heroics didn't fix the problem for a lot of people, because a lot of people's problems, except maybe with Drekthar, who is an exception, a lot of people's problems wasn't even that the boss was hard.
Trash mobs.
It's that their team was dying before they got to the boss, and those didn't get nerfed. The normal fights didn't get nerfed at all. So Alterac is still one of the harder ones, in my opinion. But they learned, and I think they overtuned it a bit. I think it's good to have harder content like that. You just can't be making it the default thing. Like, you need to have it be heroic, or you need to have it be legendary mode, or whatever thing they add in the future. Like, I want that content in the game. I want to be challenged in PvE. I don't want it to be the baseline content, because it locks a lot of people out of the content, which sucks, because that limits, like, I've heard a few times some people who quit early on and now are coming back to it. It's like, damn, like, I can't get through Blackrock, or I can't get through Alterac to get this new content.
Yeah, that's that. We were saying this before the stream started. Honestly, it was just like, I was coaching somebody on EU, and so I opened my EU account and I logged into Mercenaries, and I looked at the new Leroy task, and I looked at the Leroy event, and on my normal account, it's not an issue, but as soon as I saw that, I was like, whoa, that is, I can't even begin to think about doing that challenge as a new player, let alone even a medium range player. Like, if I was someone who was just idly playing Mercenaries, I would think a lot of that player base would literally not be able to complete the bounties in the way that you're asking to do it in the Leroy event, unless you straight up really, really focused and spent hours to prepare to do it. Forget about any of the bugs trolling you on the way there, right? But like, that was a very weird experience for me to like log on to Mercenaries on my other account. I mean, we've talked about how just like absolutely unplayable this game is on multiple accounts. I would say, like, people, I mean, you have psychos like Censor or whatever, right? And the people that, and I think Signs
was doing it. Has, like, he gave up
14K accounts or whatever, just like an absolute animal. But
he gave up.
But so like, we understand that it's not really meant for that, right? And I'm sure how many times we say things or whatever, and like Blizzard people will hear us and just like start having migraine on the spot, because they're like, if only they could know, if only they knew, but we don't know. So that was something that I was very surprised. Was just like, wow, this Leroy event, even though it's supposed to be tuned down a little bit more for like the not established player, it's like, it didn't feel difficult to do when I was doing it. Like, I like the difficulty of the GG event, but it's straight up, you couldn't even think about it. It is not even remotely on the table to do it unless you are hardcore playing this game, and that does feel weird. I'm not gonna lie, it felt weird.
It's kind of strange for sure. Like, there was part of me that wants to try it out just to, like, I watched I rated a smaller streamer when I ended the other day, and they were playing Mercs.
Mercenaries?
Yeah, they were playing Mercs PvP. And they were trying it out, and they didn't have a ton of max stuff, and I think they were playing with some dragons that weren't even level 30. But let me tell you, watching those games, it was night and day from my play experience and a lot of our play experience. Like, you saw so much variety in terms of comps. You saw so many weird off-the-wall combos and strategies, and a bunch of misplays thrown in too, but like, it looked so much damn fun. Like, I was like, let me back there. Honestly. I don't want to bully them, but like at the lower level, but it's like, geez, I wish I could do that. Like, I tried for an hour and a half to make a Mimi Fell Dragon thing work with Deathwing and Rathian, and I got the combo off once, and I still did not win the game. And it was
said that, though.
Yeah.
It's kind of linked. I have noticed there is a lot more variety on ladder now.
Oh yeah,
that's a good thing.
Ever since that last
it's
patch,
gotten better.
Like, ever since not this drop, but the one before that, it felt like it suddenly became like night and day. Like,
predict what people are playing, like with the.
It's so hard, dude. It's so hard to predict openers now.
That's gonna be the future. 100%.
It's so hard.
That's gonna be the future, right? Like, we felt. It wasn't even like fortunate or whatever. We just happened to catch the millisecond of Mercenaries history where we could, like, again, because we were at the top of the game, we memorized everything, we know every deck, we know every comp, we know what you're going to play. If you're not playing it, you're trolling. So I am just going to assume that you're playing this certain deck. And I always stood by the fact that I don't believe that's how the game should be played, and I don't expect that to be how it's going to be played. Again, compared to Pokemon, 6 bazillion Pokemon to play, you can't realistically soul read what they're going to play unless you can scout them or something like that. And so I think that's good. I think we should hopefully get to that point. The problem is the only thing that's going to let us fully achieve that, more broken stuff to keep all the other broken stuff in check, or are we going to nerf stuff? you have to kind of pick one of those two directions, I think.
Or buff
They've
stuff.
kind of stated,
Yep.
or buff stuff. And I think I would love to see some buffs. I would love to see more buffs. Just kind of raise the power level up by a little bit on more stuff. And
like launch marks, yeah. Yeah. But and this will be like the last thing I want to mention for like the meta section, and then we can start kind of wrapping things up a little bit. One other character, and this is one of my favorite things about Mercenaries, and this is why I grinded out even some of the worst launch mercs, because you never know what's going to come in the next drop, and it's going to make a entirely unplayable character usable. Now, some of those characters, it might take a lot. Like, are we going to see Uther come out of nowhere? I don't really think so. But maybe someday, you know, never know. But one character that fits the bill and that I had a tremendous amount of success with, surprisingly, was Voon. Voon is a character. Yeah, I forgot Voon really existed. And I didn't even know he has a passive. He has a passive that says, whenever a dragon attacks, passive, deal 10 damage to the target it is attacking. I didn't know that was the thing in the game.
Wombo combo. That's an equipment, right?
So yeah.
It counts as green damage?
It does. Yep, it crits. So it's pretty disgusting.
Summon a Draconid or whatever.
Yeah.
That double hits for 20 just from Nefarian
and then
acting on turn 1.
Nefarian critting a blue too. His dragon hits him for 12 base. And then the build I've been playing was done by Yahweh or Cold Snap as they're known on the ladder. And they sent me their build and I played it on stream a few nights ago. I went like 7-1. It's a triple green opener most of the time too.
I love that. People need to be doing more of that stuff. Like more triple color openers brick many of your opponents. So many. If you want to get people, open triple color more often.
It works.
You run them over.
Everybody play triple green opener. I'll be prepared.
There is no snowball man that could ever make your day a sad one. Certainly no kind of snowball man.
Yeah,
but just don't worry about it and hope it doesn't happen to you.
No, I still kind of did beat some local R stuff with it too. Like it's because you can focus down even when you're not critting. You're dealing so much freaking damage because so the lead is a lot of the time it's Voon, Nefarian, Sinestra. Sinestra, in their build,
Sinestra's the third
green. But in their build, basically, I have been liking the plus attack equipment on Nefarian. I still think it might be the best one, but the build he was running and the one I was trying out, it actually uses the whenever a friendly, it's not even friendly, whenever a dragon dies, you heal 10.
Okay.
And the sustain that provided was nuts. Like, I thought it was going to be a meme. It wasn't a meme.
Swappable if you really want. I guess it has to attack though.
Yeah, it sucks if you run into
oh yeah, we were talking about that.
Full nature dragons. It's bad, but
there we go.
Yeah, sorry, a little bit of lag there. What were you guys saying? It cut out for me.
DC'd on Discord.
No, you're just saying that like in terms of getting the other attack off of, or like when you heal every time a dragon dies.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that Nefarian attacks, you take damage, and then your Draconid or whatever attacks dies. But I guess, does it really die that turn? It kind of has enough health to survive retaliation damage. There's like 12 health or something, right? 10 maybe?
It doesn't always die immediately. It depends what they do, but it can absorb the lock hits too if your opponent's running a lock. Also, dragons are slower, so they naturally play around lock a little bit better. Yeah. Which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And like Longjin can really punish local R with that skill too, where if he takes damage, he starts dealing damage back.
That ability.
And now we have dragon summons.
So many people misplay with that.
Oh yeah. And
that ability, Longshin's kit is busted.
He got so much better.
That kit is so good.
Like
I wonder if that could replace the Sinestra. My first thought was like that you don't need necessarily another dragon. And then you can take maybe the healing equipment and just have somebody that protects your green guys, right? Like if you just have Longshin blocking Local R, which is the counter to your Nefarian Voon, that I like that open a lot. Maybe you take the auto switching one as well if you really need it, but
you can swap it up too. The only thing is in that build, Longjin is a bench unit because we are running the equipment that scales up his arcane damage for each dragon and beast friendly that dies. I've had it capped out. The highest I saw, I had a 30 plus 30 arcane damage local or not local, Longshin, like nuts.
Just triple kill their board.
Like it's just insane. Like I've literally like 3v1 like Sinestra with that. Like it's just absurd. So that was really cool. That's definitely another build I think people should be looking out for. There is a way with dragons to beat Frost Valeera too. The thing is, like you mentioned, it is hard to telegraph openers right now because there's so much different stuff seeing play. And the biggest weakness of like a 6 dragon comp is you need to open correctly versus what you're facing. If you guess wrong and you open wrong, you're going to have a terrible time. But against Frost Valeera, this is if you know you're going to be seeing a bunch of that, Deathwing, Nefarian with the plus attack, and Sinestra. Deathwing taunts, blocks the elemental at 1 speed. Then between Nefarian with the extra attack and the elemental dies running into Deathwing because of the extra attack. Then between Nefarian with the more attack and Sinestra with the attack and her bleed, Varden dies on turn 1. So if they're scaling their Varden just gets deleted on turn 1. And then Frost Valeera is very unhappy. So that's the last comp or last like opener mentioned.
Yeah, tech. I like it.
It's fun. That's the best thing about the skill cap on playing dragons optimally and perfectly is the moon. Like it's just so hard. It is so incredibly hard, but I think, that's why I want to see someone like Frankie play it, because like he's known for not making like any mistakes so much of the time, and he always finds like the correct lines. Like I want to watch Frankie play dragons so badly because like I did well with it.
Tested it out a bit.
Yeah, he talked about it a little bit the last time I talked to him, but I talked to him before we really got to do a lot of testing in the meta and stuff. So I'm curious. He was playing it today in the tournament actually, and it seemed to be going pretty well for him.
Oh, speaking of, tournament just ended.
Oh, do we know who won?
Grumpies?
Should I announce it?
Yeah, well, spoilers if you don't want to.
I'm sure he posted tonight on Twitter.
Know it or whatever. Like, but yeah, no, let's. Who ended up winning? Did Frankie retain the crown?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, someone finally got him.
So
the underdog, you love it.
Yeah, his streak has come to an end. So congratulations to Design.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I think he came back from the losers bracket too, if I'm recalling correctly. I was watching earlier. I could be wrong about that. I'd have to double check, but some great games in that tournament. I know we were hanging out in the chat and watching earlier.
Very
and
entertaining.
It was so much fun. It was like last time, right? With the 3 different teams, and you can only have one merc across each team. It was.
I like that format.
It was a great format. Hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, and thanks to Grumpy too for running that.
No, Grumpy just is the EU GOAT in terms of community events. He's really like
people
doing
asked
it
for
all.
EU tournaments, and he gave it to him.
Now there are more EU tournaments than NA ones.
Yeah.
So
NA got bogged down on all kinds of other stuff. But we started talking too much.
Yeah, right.
I was thinking of doing a tournament actually for the other giveaway code, but I need help to organize.
Yeah, it's a lot to manage for sure. If
anyone wants to reach out and put the hand up, I would appreciate it, and maybe we can get that going for NA.
That'd be sick because we need more NA events to give us something to do that's not ladder. Like I love taking part in Signs' King of the Hill stuff on his stream, and 100%. This is another great moment to mention. I'm actually going to be doing a draft event the day this recording is going up.
That's really kind of the best one, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
that sounded really fun.
Yeah, it should be fun. We're going to be doing it 7 p.m. EST is the plan. The stream is starting then. I don't have like a full player list or whatever, so people are going to show up, and if they want to play and they can commit to
7 p.m. EST, so that's 10 a.m. for me.
Yeah, so if you're around us, if your Sunday morning's not looking too busy.
Can I stream as well?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
I was planning to stream at that time tomorrow. Maybe, actually, I'll delay it so we don't,
Yeah, it's a whole test run thing, but Grumpy's done a great draft system on EU, so I'm stealing a little bit of his homework there. I think I altered like one or two things. I'll leave the link.
There are some things that seem like we can just iterate on it and make it better for everybody.
Yeah, and it's great, all that kind of stuff. I'm really like excited about it because watching the draft event, I think if mercs eventually does have a competitive scene, draft is going to be a core part of it. It enables such interesting gameplay and such on-the-fly decision-making that it really... It's a different skill set than just learning the meta comp and learning how to play that the best, but I think it really showcases some of the best players in the game. It's amazing.
It rewards coaching first so much.
That's what I wonder.
What was the question?
Who gets to pick first?
Oh, so it's randomized.
Balanced, right?
Yeah. So
or snake.
No,
or
but
whatever.
I mean, like that's what I'm thinking. Whoever gets to pick first, who do you think they're gonna get?
Oh well,
Valera or Loco?
Oh, like who from the roster people gets first picked most frequently or whatever right now?
Well, that's where the draft gets interesting, is because obviously, first pick, grab Valera, do all the meta silly stuff. Well, we have a way of making it so that's not going to happen. So before we even get into drafting, every player gets to ban a merc from the pool. So, and then...
Oh, okay.
I like it.
On top of that, when you're selecting for a draft, how this is going to work is, so every player, I think we're going to have between like 6 and 8 players, 8-player cap. Every player picks a merc to ban. That merc is out of the pool. Then we go into draft. So how the draft will work is basically I'm going to select, it's going to be double the amount of players we have, plus 2 more. So if we have 6 players, it'll be 12 mercs plus 2, so 14 mercs. 14 mercenaries are going to be randomly selected from the full pool, and we draft through those until everyone grabs 2, and then we do another draft.
Okay.
Sounds cool.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's how Grumpy was doing it, and I really like the system because it forces you to have to pick from a more limited pool rather than everyone's just going to go for what they think is the best and slots into multiple different comps. It's like, well, there are only 4 mercs left, and yeah, one of them's Mutanus, but Mutanus might actually kind of work in my comp. And some units are a lot better in that draft environment. Like little spoiler, Muckla's amazing.
Are you allowing the new mercs as well? Because
yes.
I don't have them maxed. Or even leveled, really.
Then don't pick them.
Exactly. That's the way you get around it. Like,
that's cool.
It is a little bit easier for, if people have all this stuff, but of course not everyone's going to have it, but that's okay because that's why we have more mercs in the pool, because you could just be like, all right, I'll just take this then. I'll take this thing I do have that I think can work because I don't want to jam my level 25 Nefarian with like 2 skills leveled up or something. So, because we've had people, or Grumpy's had people in the EU draft that were in that position, and it still kind of worked out. So I'm excited.
Okay, cool.
It
test it out then.
It should be really fun. Yeah. Oh no, I'll hold the spot for you.
I don't want anyone to. No, miss out because of me. Like first in best dressed, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean we'll figure it out. It's a test.
I'll probably be there on time.
Yeah. So yeah, 7 p.m. EST. That's going to be the day this is going live. So 7 hours after this podcast goes live, like boom, stream starting up. We're gonna get the sign up list going, and it's probably going to be a while because I want to try and stream a bunch of the games, like spectating and doing all that stuff. But I'll have a link in the description to the Google Doc that has all the rules and all that stuff. So if you want to get more familiar with it, you can do that there. And even if you don't want to participate, definitely should pop on by just to see how it goes. Because watching draft from the EU guys was like, that's some of the most entertaining mercenary stuff I've seen since like the launch of the game.
Awesome.
It was like Pauper vibes, where it's like you see all these different interesting strategies that would never in a million years make sense to just jam in a comp and throw on ladder. But they were great. So look forward to that. And if we have a good time with it, which I'm expecting we will, I'm going to try and make it more of a regular thing. So yeah, that's great
idea, man.
No, I
Yeah,
like it.
well, credit to
Mercenaries is
Grumpy.
so good to be able to do stuff like that. Just like
Grumpy
you
is
could do a
doing
different
it all.
format every day if you wanted to.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, it's sweet.
We were saying before, yeah, we should
Mhm.
try and do like some sort of league or, regular tournament sort of thing. It'd be
Definitely.
great for the game, for the community.
Yeah, give
I wish, yeah.
give the high level players something to do that's not grinding ladder, because we all know that can get a bit frustrating at times, especially with the broken ladder system.
I mean, in a certain sense, all of these tournaments have been just like limit testing for when the game is fixed TM, right? Where it's just like, what format is good? Like, how many different formats has the community tried? Like, so many. I'm so proud of so many of the different tournaments all over the world that people have made. It's so sick. Like, you did not see that in standard ever, battlegrounds ever, wild ever, duels ever.
No, not to the same extent. Not like this. Like, people tried stuff, but not.
Never tried to.
They didn't. The games didn't. I think Mercs just lends itself to more formats than constructed. Even Battlegrounds.
Mercenaries is insane. I will always. That is what fundamentally makes me so willing to still, even when I like take a break, right, and from playing it and stuff. Like, I will look everybody in the eye and tell them like the ceiling for Mercenaries is unbelievable. Like, you start to even dabble in the possibilities. And it just seems infinite. It truly seems like the only thing holding us back is dev support. And once we get it, then it's just GG.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. We do want to wrap things up here, though. This has been a great episode. We do have our end question for us. We kind of talked about this a little bit, but I think it will be interesting to get some answers on this and hear what other people in the comments think. We talked about the idea of a relaunch of Mercenaries, kind of like Blizzard has done in the past with other games, see Diablo 3 or kind of the upcoming Overwatch 2. It's an established thing that they've done before, and I think seeing how they initially pushed Mercenaries with the marketing and how that fell off really quickly and all the issues we've talked about time and time again, I think it's a natural thing that's probably going to happen at some point. It wouldn't be a main button.
You have to figure out how to port the collection over, though. All those other games didn't have like hundreds and thousands of dollars put into your collection.
Oh, not like a new game though. I don't mean like restarting it,
everything or whatever.
Yeah, so
everyone gets to keep all their stuff.
Yeah, no, God no, not getting rid of people's stuff. Because that's not even happening in Overwatch 2, even though it's like a sequel.
Really?
Yeah, it's
wow.
Everyone who owns Overwatch 1, I believe, can play 2 multiplayer without buying the game. And Diablo 3 was the same way. You didn't have to. They had an expansion, but that was it. Like, you didn't have to buy new stuff in Diablo 3 for all the updates to it. So that, to be clear, not saying they need to redo like a new Mercenaries. No, God no. I'd lose my mind. But like a pseudo relaunch in terms of they give it that push like they gave it at launch again, except now it makes more sense to do that because hopefully they will have issues fixed. So the question is, what are the most important changes you would like to see in a pseudo relaunch of the mode, maybe around like the 1 year anniversary or whenever, they decide to do it? Like what's the biggest thing you want to see in a kind of Mercs 2.0 update?
I mean, I have my answer. Dallas, do you know what your answer is yet? Do you want time to think?
All right, I'll go first since you went first last time.
Go for it.
I mean, that's a really big question, Zombie, for like the final question.
Yeah. Well, we don't need to go super in depth. Just like, what would you love to see?
Look, we've been saying it so many times, and I'm just gonna bring it up again. So sorry if it's a cop out. There really needs to be an issue with. There really needs to be a solution to the coin/pack problem that we have right now. And do you want me to go deeper or?
I mean, maybe what would you like to see changed? Compared to how it is now, or just like real basic, but like what would make you happy that is currently not making you happy with it?
Right. So firstly, there needs to be full disclosure about the how they're calculating
Mhm.
everything. I think. And what was I saying? Coins, packs.
Duplicate
Yeah,
protection in general, or
yes,
better version of
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, definitely duplicate protection. Yeah, it's just very, very disheartening to see those duplicate coins over and over again.
Oh yeah.
Getting that 100 on legendary rolls all the time.
Yep.
That needs to be.
Mhm.
And yeah, like the pool is just getting way too big, and it's going to make it harder for newer players to come in and open these packs because the distribution is going to be spread out. So
It's like a way for people to get what they're actually going for rather than just setting money on fire trying to hope they get lucky and get it, right? Like
they actually need to put something in place similar to what is that game called, Lost Ark?
Mhm.
They have a spending limit. They're being
Oh, I didn't know that.
responsible.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a
Why
pretty
doesn't Blizzard do that?
uncommon precedent.
Yeah,
get behind
I
that.
didn't know that. That's kind of cool to know.
Because it wasn't the first time I heard of it, but it just reminded me because someone told me about that recently. So Blizzard can do that. They can step up. They can look out for their customers. Yeah, but I hate to end on such a negative note.
Don't worry, mine is bigger, or mine's less negative in that sense. So
Well,
in terms of
it's positive eventually, right? We're hoping for a positive.
It is it's hopeful. It's hopeful for
getting that
the
hopium in there.
Like you were saying, Mullahoo, I agree with what you said before. The mode has a ton of potential, and I think it's going to be great. It's just going to take time. I hope they can learn from their mistakes. Not just Mercenaries, but Hearthstone in general. And if they do, it's going to be pretty awesome. So
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to it.
Great answer.
No, I think so.
What do you think, Mullahoo?
I'll basically answer with what I had talked about what I was kind of hoping. I was like absolutely like pure hopium. We were just hopium theory crafting before the expansion drop, or before the patch announcement and everything dropped that came with the Mercenaries. But I spent so much time. We spent so much time literally like we pulled up the campfire zone, our little tavern area, and I just went like one by one through every single button that you can click on that initial screen. And how would you design a flipped map where you hit a button, it flips it over, you go underwater, and there's an underwater version of all of the different buttons you can hit that has the better PvE, that has the PvP mid-game system, that has the coin converter, that has the extra place for a different way to buy things, that has the pearls system where you can convert things into a new resource that you can then use on other stuff. So like what I would want for the relaunch would be a second screen. There, you keep everything that's there, right? So in that sense, everyone knows that what they had is still there. All the buttons they're familiar with are there, but there's a little arrow and you click it and it tabs over whether you change the table or you flip it over, you put underwater, who knows what. And it just then has a new literal area of space to put more buttons into the game that will support the future. Because at the moment, it's clogged. We're overloaded with the space. You either have to get rid of stuff or continue to seed things deeper into all of this stuff. I want to see a second board that then introduces everything that we ask for. I mean, that would be the dream relaunch in my mind.
Cool. I like that answer a bit. Kind of building on top of that, and I agree with that for sure. I think that it would be great if a lot of building your stuff in Mercenaries didn't require gold. I think Mercenaries should have its own currency. Yeah, keep gold for packs, whatever. That's fine. You should not have to pay gold to access PvP. You should not have to pay gold to access Heroic. Because there are players who are free-to-play players who play more modes than just Mercenaries, and it's already hard enough being a free-to-play player in some of those modes if you want to play multiple things. And now this mode's asking you for gold up front before you even know if you're going to enjoy it. Yeah, like it gatekeeps people, and it keeps people from even starting and trying the game once in some instances, which is just bad. So
I was trying to play like Hearthstone on my phone with another account so I can verse myself to do some tasks, and I couldn't do that because you need to do like a couple of bounties first as well.
Oh yeah.
To get to the point where you challenge, someone else. So,
yeah, I didn't even know that, so that's good to know. Yeah, because some of those tasks, it's easier to do it with a friend in casual PvP, like 1v1. And I did that with I helped Signs out on stream the other day because he had this task that was a pain in the butt to do in PvE. I was like, all right, bro, just challenge me, and I'll throw out my dragons and let you get this really fast, like easy. So that would be great. Just the big thing to me is I feel like the PvP especially, and just some other aspects of the mode in general are gatekeeped really hard, and you need to give people a try before you buy or a try before you commit kind of thing, where they can try it, say, oh, hey, this actually kind of slaps. Like, get rid of that negative mentality that people have about Mercenaries from the awful launch, and just you will win people over with the gameplay if they can just play the game. Like, the game is good. Like, I think that's the biggest thing that all the top level people are in agreement about, is that the core foundation here is rock solid. It is incredible. I talked with Frankie about it after the podcast last week, and he was like, this is like the best game I've ever played. He's like, this is like my favorite game ever. I absolutely love it. 10 out of 10. But there are all these issues. But like the core gameplay, when you get down to it, is incredible. And that's why I've been so committed to it and passionate about it, because I do believe this mode has the potential to be the best mode in the Hearthstone client. It's going to take a lot of work to get there. And for me, the number one issue there is accessibility. So whatever ways you can do, I won't list them all here, but we've talked about them before. Rental team, auto scaling up of a merc. Like, there are a million different things you can do to make it more accessible for people. And they just need to do a handful of those things for this relaunch. And it will really cement the long-term future of the mode, in my opinion. But yeah, that was my answer. We are going to wrap the show here, though, because we do have places to be. But before we do, I do just want to remind everyone where they can find us here. So do you want to start off, Dallas? Tell our lovely viewers where they can find you.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, thanks for having me on. It was always a pleasure to talk to you guys. So you can find me at twitch.tv/Dallas_777. And also Twitter, twitter.com/Dallas_777. Or you can just like look down below and just click the links. Make it easy.
Under the table.
And do you want to hear my catchphrase?
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Yeah. All right. So you haven't heard the story, Mullahoo, but
no, I don't know. I'm ready.
It's better with the story. But anyway, the catchphrase is, be positive. That's my blood side.
Okay, I'm down. Be positive.
It's better with the story. Trust me.
It's good.
I can begin to imagine.
Yeah, he told us about that at the end of stream the other day. It was pretty good. Go check out the VOD. It's worth it. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on, Dallas. Always a pleasure getting to have you on here. What about you, Mullahoo? Where can our awesome viewers find you at?
Same way. Best place is always Twitter. If for some reason you have something to ask or anything like that, my DMs are open on Twitter. So Mullahoo TTV on Twitter and twitch.tv/Mullahoo. I've definitely been consumed with a new project that is the project that I want to do. If given the infinite amount of resources and time, it would be what I would do. And so I'm beginning to get that off of the ground, and it's very exciting. So I apologize for not streaming as much. And in many cases, you might see the beginnings of this project begin to show up on stream, because we're going to start working on it. We want to keep it under wraps on purpose to a certain extent, because we intend to capitalize on it and revolutionize the way that people coach in particular.
Ooh.
So some interesting, spicy stuff. Very exciting team that I'm starting to build up to work on it too. So still Twitter's the best place to find me, or Discord, things like that. But otherwise, on the Fighting Pit Twitter, where you are posting your custom mercenaries in order to win our giveaway bundles. And remember, you can go to Dallas' stream tomorrow to win their giveaway bundle tomorrow. But yeah, I will be paying strict attention. I'm super excited to see what you guys make for some of these custom mercenaries, and can't wait.
Yeah. Shout out to Blizzard again for hooking us up helping some of our mercenary folks out here, and definitely take part in the contest if that interests you. Get that creativity going. Really love custom mercs. Will be cool to see what people come up with. Again, the links for all this stuff, as well as Dallas, Mullahoo, and my own links, will be in the description. You know where to find me at this point, most likely. YouTube, Twitch, doing more regular streams over there. It's been really great. And as always, the podcast will be available on all podcast platforms. If you stuck with us all the way through here, a like and subscribe is always appreciated. Help game that algorithm. Good stuff. But thank you so much for watching. We will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Bye. GG's.
See ya.
Be positive.
Oh, you can't see it.
Oh, there we go. Have a great day. Oh, and
I love it. Take it easy, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks again.